All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Fletch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party, guys. That is the best part, so make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Really quick, let's just say thank you to my6shirt.com, the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch, only at my6shirt.com. All right. We got Soul to Soul in the building. Who else we got here? Say hello. We have a fun show for you guys tonight. You know, there's just so much going on with just, war and blood, and we've talked about it a lot because I think it's important. Shout out to Zippy the Strange. Shout out to M169 in the building. And so I figured let's have some fun. We call these parties for a reason. But of course, I'm not just gonna, bring something random to you. So we have our good. Well, I'm a big fan of Theo Von, the stand-up comedian. If you're not familiar with him, you are going to love him. He had Tucker Carlson on his podcast, and it's not like a political podcast. It's just, he's a stand-up comic, and they do these kind of like just conversational podcasts. But it's Tucker, so it's gonna be fun. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Insert is in.
Or you need a spit cup?
A spit cup.
You gotta try this product. It's unbelievable.
Maybe I'll try one towards
Theo coming out hot. You need a spit cup?
the end of the episode.
It will wind you up.
Really?
Yes. Once you try this, you're gonna get a lot richer.
Zen? Is that their advertising campaign?
Oh,
Sin is not a sin. That's the advertising campaign.
Really?
Yeah, but
they're doing the those nicotine things. Like instead of dip, it's just a little pouch, and you just put it in your mouth. That's what they're talking about.
the truth is, Zen is a powerful work enhancer and also a male enhancer, if you know what I mean.
Really? Fucking erection, huh?
There's no election fraud with Zen.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want a Zen supported wiener, I don't know.
I think you do.
You think
Yeah.
so? Oh, yeah, because you want people to get it.
Put a one. Men. Well, we got a bunch of women here, so we're 50-50. But men in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever used like a Blue Chew or any of those. Not something prescription. But like a Blue Chew, or what's the other one? I forget. But let me know if you've used those before.
Addicted to
Just
it.
close your eyes.
Oh, damn.
Like that.
That's the neighbor saying, hey, it's real quiet over there.
Just whack it on the nightstand.
Oh. Ah.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry.
Dude, I would hate to have a real long wiener if you have a cat. That would be the fuck. That would be the
It'd
fucking.
be dangerous.
It would be dangerous.
Talk
I
about a
think.
cat toy.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh yeah, but you'd have to put a little bell at the end of it or something.
You would. And a feather.
Yeah.
Mm.
Nice to meet you, man. We never met.
That's how Theo Von starts a conversation for the first time with somebody. So if you don't think we're going to have fun, I don't know what to tell you.
Dude, you have such a crazy laugh, don't you?
It's real.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I shouldn't say that.
It's very hot. Are we on TV?
Huh?
Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
TV?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
my
going,
laugh
sorry.
is very high, and that's how you know that it's real, because it's so embarrassing, and I do it anyway.
I like that. Yeah, and I shouldn't have said that. It's not nice to condemn somebody's laugh or whatever.
Oh, so you can't hurt my feelings.
He's such a sweetheart.
Oh, well, I'll give it a run, man.
Okay, good.
No, I think your laugh, it kind of reminds me of like a proud kind of grandmother from like maybe the 1850s or something, maybe.
Totally sending her boys off to
Yeah.
war.
Yeah. Or like a woman that just got a new cookie recipe in the
Yeah,
mail,
yeah. It's joyful, but there's a sort of undertone of diabolic.
Oh yeah.
But
There's
in
like-
my case, it's totally real. And again, it's not an appealing laugh. It's not like, wow, what a manly laugh that is. It's not a chortle. It's more a giggle.
Yeah, no, it seems like
It's so funny how the reason, like, for a long time, I wanted to share some Theo Vaughn with you guys. I know you, a bunch of you are probably familiar with him, but I wanted to share it on the show because he has such an interesting way of looking at the world, and I think it really points out how, especially because a lot of us agree on a lot of stuff. It shows, like, it reminds us that, like, there's other people thinking other things out there, and I've never thought about an 1850s grandma sending kids off to war when I've heard Tucker laugh. So this is going to be a great way to just kind of get out of our own bubble and see what's really going on there. Emma 69 said, my granny used snuff and had a spit cup. She kept it on the floor next to the couch. Oh, that shit's nasty, nasty, nasty. I cannot even. Yeah, Zippy saying the you can use the lozenges. Those, at least you can swallow the your own spit. I still think it's kind of nasty, but hey, I'm vaping, so what are we gonna do?
a kid. Yeah, like a kids would love it. It seems like
but not too much.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Winnie the Pooh, kind of. You low-key do have a Christopher Robin vibe if he grew up.
Thank you. I don't think he ever did, though.
Really?
I think he exists only in the pages of the books.
Oh yeah.
Actually, there was a Christopher Robin that was Milne's son, and he grew up to be a super bitter atheist who hated his dad. Yeah, it didn't
Well, I'm a bitter atheist, but I definitely don't hate my dad.
work. It
Really?
was all fantasy. Yes.
Wow.
Unless I'm misremembering that. A. Milne, who wrote the book, yeah,
Yeah.
he had kind of a tragic family life.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Good to see you today, man. We never met before.
One of my children is like your biggest fan.
Really?
Yes.
And are they like, how children are we talking?
Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party, sir. Said I like my bubble. Don't we all? But that's the problem. The bubble is so comforting. It's so warm and it surrounds you and you're just floating around, but the bubble is not real life. Welcome to the party, brother.
Mid-20s.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just saying, I don't want. Yeah, I don't.
Nothing creepy or anything.
Yeah, I don't need because it's kind of weird that they allow like
little kids to watch you.
to see that. Like sometimes it's weird that there's no barrier to entry in
There's
a lot
porn
of the
on
world.
Twitter, dude.
Yep.
So I mean, in a world that allows that, you're fine.
You think you're
And like, I'm very liberal in terms of what censorship and what should be, but the whole porn on Twitter thing has always blown my mind.
should be porn on Twitter?
No.
Hey, shout out to Nick Luchetti. The reason we are watching this, the reason we have something to take us away from the drawl and the horror of what is going on in war. Thank you. Nick was the one to show me this, so I am now sharing it with you guys. Shout out to Nick. Welcome to the party.
No, it shouldn't be porn on Twitter. I mean,
Of course not.
No.
Yeah, don't go to Twitter.
I mean, I wouldn't, spend a lot of time trying to ban porn on Twitter, but like porn on Twitter, come on.
Exactly.
Twitter.
But notice how Theo was going, well, yeah, if you're going to look for P-Hub content, then go to, whatever. Like, that's not what Tucker's issue was, that it's not the best place to find the content. It's that it shouldn't be up there at all. Exactly. That, I mean, well, I didn't, I guess that's a good way. I guess that's a good way to put it, right? Is that it's not necessarily a problem that that stuff is out there. It's a problem that kids have access to it. Good point.
Twitter is for your ugly opinions, not your nudity.
Yeah.
For your ugly opinions, not your ugly ass.
What things do you think shouldn't be on Twitter?
I mean, I think everything should be allowed on Twitter. I mean, I'm on Twitter because everything is allowed.
Right.
It should be following the U.S. law. It is a U.S. company, whether it's global or not. And so if it is legal under U.S. law, it should be legal on Twitter because they are protected by the Section 230 publisher platform thing. They are a platform, not a publisher. So if you say something wrong, it's on you. It's not on them. Therefore, there is no reason for them to censor anything that is not illegal.
I don't think everything is allowed on Twitter. I haven't found the boundary yet, but Elon Musk, who owns it, has said he's for free speech. And if it's a political view that most people don't like, it's still allowed.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. As someone with unpopular views,
Well, didn't they have, One thing that I don't like on Twitter, sometimes you see like people beating up teachers and stuff like that. Do you ever see any of this
I hate
violence that
shit.
happens?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't like it.
But the fact that they allow it, and kids beating up each other,
Right.
they'll have like those things where somebody's going to set up somebody's filming, some other kids like are going to come in and beat up the kid, right?
But where do you guys fall on that stuff? Because I I was into it for a while. When it when what is it? World Star like first became a thing. Obviously, you don't see that stuff every day, so you want to check it out. But this is the days of when I was on Facebook, and I could see the people who were posting a lot of these videos and watching a lot of these fighting videos and just the type of video, World Star, those kind of videos. I could see the mentality playing out in real life, that when we were in middle school and those videos started coming out, the types of people who would watch those regularly and like a lot, all kind of moved in one direction. And at a certain point, I was like, I don't know if this is the best use of time, and I don't know if I really want to desensitize myself to people beating each other up. Maybe that's not a good idea. Kids beating each other's new form. That's the old form of Tide Pods. That's the original form of Tide Pods. Except, no, I can't even go with that. The Tide Pods was just attention seeking. The fights, at least it was happening in real life. At least it was real. The Tide Pods, it's just it's completely inorganic.
Why did that? Because then I feel like if they would stop allowing that, then because other kids just start mimicking what they see.
Well, it's also bad. It's bad for you to watch it. I say as someone who's watched a lot of it. It's like the ISIS videos.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or there's a whole bunch of channels of criminals getting shot coming into a jewelry store.
Right. And so you need to, it's definitely a matter of separating like what is newsworthy, what is important for me to be aware of versus what is just like, titillating the sensationalized BS and all that. If you were like with the ISIS videos, you don't necessarily need to watch every single one. Same thing now with Hamas. You don't need to necessarily watch every single ounce of footage that they put out, but understanding the level of depravity that these people have will help you understand your position on the whole thing. But again, and then we talk about like the shoplifting videos where the flash mobs of shoplifting. That's important to understand again, because you don't see that very often. And so it's very hard to understand what it is that we're actually talking about. When you say a flash mob, what is that exactly? So it's important to see those things. But I don't think it's good to be searching, okay, flash mobs today and, police pew pew events, I mean, not good. Yeah, Evan69 agrees to agree with you not wanting to be desensitized to it. Like at a certain point, I don't want to be in the position where I see somebody fighting or I see violence happening in front of me, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, whatever, same shit. Like, that's not good. That's not good for the brain. Nick says, I have respect for Elon Musk for being willing to have a free speech place, even if he disagrees with the idea. Most people with power wouldn't do that. Very, very true. I don't know how much he disagrees with it. I think he is personally, for free speech, but definitely agree.
Or a liquor store and some Korean guy just blows him away.
Yeah.
And you can't help but love it. I mean, it is the most alluring kind of porn. Like you just watch it again and again, this guy getting killed.
Yeah.
And you think,
and Zippy's like, it's not perfect. It's certainly not perfect, but it absolutely was better than when Jack Dorsey was in there. No question.
this is not good for me, actually. I shouldn't watch this.
Yeah, there's probably part of your spirit or whatever.
Totally. It's not edifying. It's like actually bad, but it's very hard. Have you ever seen the criminals getting killed channels?
Oh, yeah. I've seen a couple of them. There's one guy who's so good at it. He's killed like 7 criminals.
He's so good at it.
Yeah, he's a watchmaker in LA.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. No, it's a very famous guy.
Oh, there's a one guy. I'm like, dude, they got to quit trying to rob this guy.
Well, he finally gave up, and now I think he lives in Vegas, but this was in the 80s or 90s in LA.
Okay, and so it seems like they understood this. They were aware of this story before, but they were talking about fighting and all that stuff, and then this guy brings up one specific dude, not many details. Then Theo knows, yeah, he's good at this. He's good at killing people. But then it's the idea that he was being robbed. Okay, gotcha.
He killed 5 people, literally, with revolvers, too. This was is before everyone had like a double stack, 19-round magazine. These were just like with conventional.
Really? So Zippy says it got worse after a few months. He got suspended less pre-Elon. Well, I don't know what the hell you are saying over there, but I'm trying to think. I believe you are the first person to say this, that you've been getting banned more. What about your timeline? Do you see more of what you're following? Do you see more like the chronological stuff? Do you see less throttling? That's interesting. I've never heard anybody say that.
38 or 357 revolvers.
That's him right there. Can you have that up for me, Nate? This is a
watch seller. He's actually a watchmaker. He's the guy who fixes expensive watches and makes the new gears. He's a very Mr. Thomas.
The dealer Lance Thomas was wounded 5 times at his shop. Wow.
Let's see.
He's like the 50.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is my memory pretty good or what? He killed 5 robbers since '89.
That's amazing.
And look, we still got our co-host here. If anybody wants to give him a snack, every single super chat or donation comes with a treat for Morty.
Like the 50 Cent watchmaker. He's like 50 seconds. He's like,
okay, that's good. Okay.
Wait, I missed it.
That dude's unreal.
What? He killed 5 robbers since '89.
That's amazing. He's like the 50 Cent watchmaker. He's like 50 seconds. He's like,
okay, that's good.
I don't get it.
That dude's unreal. They ran me out of business each time. It says there's got to be a truce. There's got to be a time. There's got to be a time when you walk away from the war zone. Wow. So he just quit because it was too.
But what a BMF. I mean, he just. he shot a couple in one day.
He says, this is his best quote. Mr. Thomas said he felt no remorse for the lives he had taken.
Base.
The police ruled each shooting was justified. I was ice, he said. A frightening thing about this is that it all becomes easier. Wow.
It's not good for you. I mean, you don't want to have to kill 5 people. I don't think it's good for you.
Exactly. If you're in the position where you're being aggressed upon, then obviously it is better for you to be able to defend yourself than for it not. Nobody's arguing that. The argument about desensitization, there we go. I knew I was saying that wrong. Is that you don't want to normalize it. There's a difference between being prepared and being desensitized. Yeah, Zippy's just going off on Twitter. Bots cannot handle my speech. Well, I can barely handle my speech. I relate to the bots. Half the time, even I do not know what the hell I am saying. We are aware.
A fair amount of people to kill.
I don't think you want to kill anyone if you can help it. Bro. I mean, well, it's certainly justified in self-defense. I mean, no one will judge you.
Come on, bro. There's nobody that you just want to take out. There's got to be somebody. Put a 1 in the chat. If you don't have to say who it is. You don't have to say that you want to actually carry it out. But if there is somebody that comes to mind when I say you wouldn't end anybody, if there's somebody that comes to mind, put a 1 in the chat.
No honest person will judge you for killing someone to protect your life or your loved ones, even your property. But I just don't think you want to have to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, unfortunately, there's some people I think that wake up and they're kind of looking, wouldn't mind getting into a little, killing or whatever. But I
wouldn't mind getting into a little killing and whatever. And 169's got a 1. Nick's got 1. Hey, I'm just saying. We all have that person. I'm not saying anybody's going to do anything. But it's nice to think about.
I think you have a lot of people move into places where you can defend yourself, where the laws are more in your favor to defend yourself because it feels like your own safety has become your own responsibility.
Well, if you can't defend yourself.
Become. It has always been your responsibility. Your self-defense, your well-being is always your own responsibility. Never forget that. Even if the government, like in my state, will do everything that they can to make sure that I can't protect myself, it is still my responsibility. It is still my responsibility. And 169 said, I don't know what that says about me, but I've got more than 1. Let's go. I think we all do. I mean, again, it's not, it's just a lighthearted thing. We're not saying that like, oh my God, I'm thinking about this person all night and we got to make sure we got to plan it. No. But somebody popped into your mind.
Yourself, you're a slave. I mean, by definition.
Hold on.
Has become your own responsibility.
Well, if you can't defend yourself, you're a slave. I mean, by definition.
If you can't defend yourself, you are a slave by definition. It's a strong statement.
If someone can hurt you, but you can't defend yourself, then you're not a human being. You're subhuman, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, because that's a human right. That precedes government, right?
Based.
Being a human? I think so.
Defending yourself. You know,
yeah.
you have to be able to defend. If I walk up and punch you in the face and you can't hit back, I'm the master, you're the slave, obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Makes sense to me. He says, I cannot believe that the left defends Jim Crow laws. That's what modern gun laws are based on. Not hunting, not carrying, those are totally separate things. So, I mean, I'm sure that they do not have any idea that these laws would be based in Jim Crow. Otherwise, they would, not be in favor of it because racism is the only language they speak. But because it is something that you could twist to be about the victims, and it's this many black people, this many brown people die at the hands of other brown and black people, then it becomes something that you can turn into a political message.
Yeah, that's why I think it's one reason why you can't take guns away is because people at the end of the day, have to be able to defend themselves, or groups of people have to.
Well, of course. And the police, they've got their own thing, their own concerns, and
yeah,
you can't rely on them.
But I was thinking, what I don't like about those the violence that they show on Twitter, where it's like the children beating up children, is because if you're a kid and you see that and you see it gets a lot of traction, then you just go do it. So you're just replicating this like that. It's like you see so many more kids doing it now because they've seen it as like a thing. Like, so that kind of thing, I don't think they should allow on there.
Well, also, you don't want to see every ugly thing that people do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to see fat people in the shower. You don't want to see people on the john. Like, there are a lot of things that happen that you don't necessarily want to look at video of.
I'm good.
I don't mind watching a thick person in the shower if there's a real skinny person there with them and they have to like kind of like jockey for position or something,
This is why I love Theo. Who else's mind works like that? Like, oh, you don't want to see a fat person in the shower. His mind goes to, well, if it's balanced out, then hey. And I just think there's something so beautiful about how unique people can be. And so, this is a 2.5-hour podcast. We are definitely not going to make it through the entire thing. And they do get into some really deep stuff as the conversation goes on. So, depending on how much you guys show me that you like it, we may just do a members only stream part 2 of this tomorrow night. And you guys know the members only stream. Anybody can watch them. You just have to be a member to chat, and then once the stream is over, then it goes back to members only. So let me know the way you know how to let me know.
Showering with somebody's hard, I think. I don't know matter what size they are.
Have you seen a lot of?
Agreed. Hold on. Showering with somebody is definitely overrated. That is so overrated. Like, I lived in when I was like right after college, when I moved back to like near my hometown, and I was living with a bunch of Rutgers students. She ended up becoming a close friend. I'm closer with this girl than I was with my roommate, but it was my roommate's girlfriend, and they would always they wouldn't shower without each other, and like we didn't have like the rain shower. There's lots of space and heated floors and whatever. It was this dinky little whatever. And so like obviously I knew what they were doing in there, and that part's fun. But how about you just wait and then do it after? Like, yeah, every once in a while, you want to be fun, you want to spice it up, but shower sex is overrated. Shower sex is overrated. I will die on that hill.
That.
I think I've been in some showers with some, with varying sizes of humans, and it's
What's
always
the fattest person you've showered with?
Oh, probably a good.
Exactly. Somebody's always, and it's never the girl that's sitting out in the where the water isn't. Keep that in mind, gentlemen. Keep that in mind.
I'm trying to remember.
Like real fat or just kind of bulky?
I remember I picked this gal up one time trying to fucking go back to how it felt on my back.
It's not. I need to point it out because I think it's so beautiful. I'm trying to think of how fat she was. So instead of thinking of in my mind's eye, what did she look like? I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to try to picture her on my back and think about that. But yeah, everybody thinks exactly the same way, right? Oh, MC169, you were that. Where's the chivalry? Where is the chivalry? So he says they do have hot water heaters that do not run out of hot water. Yeah, but if you're not under if you're just standing there naked while there's yeah, it's warmer than if you were just standing there naked and the hot water wasn't on. But you're still going to be cold because the water cools off and you're with your body your body heat.
I'd probably say upper ones.
Upper ones.
Upper
But you're not
ones.
going to.
I wouldn't get into that.
No. Just it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're lying. I can tell.
No.
Okay.
So, guys, I think most of you here are regulars. But if you are watching and this is your first time, welcome to the party. We usually get into more directly political stuff, specifically culture war issues, and when I can, bring people on to talk about more foreign affairs and bigger issues. But we do specifically focus on political discourse in America. But nobody is having discourse in America right now about anything besides war. And I've already covered it and I don't want to. So, we're just having a little bit of fun. Definitely hit that subscribe if you are interested in my take on how, this conversation is not very political and not very poignant to culture war issues, but I'm going to shove them in there.
Yeah, you are. Whoa. Okay. No.
Is there laws? Like, do you know if there's any laws? Like, if there's people who are doing pedophiling, right? And they are reaching out to children through social media, why isn't there a responsibility on the social media companies?
Well, that's
allowing that to
be. That's why Section 230. Unlike the New York Times, where if a New York Times journalist was, writing something that was, trying to lure kids into whatever, then of course the New York Times is gonna be like, you publish this. But specifically that they don't have those, or they do have the protections that, well, it wasn't us, it was this guy. And of course, because that is illegal, then they have to act. But the impetus is not. It's not like Twitter said this. It's Twitter user said this.
Open wall.
I'm sure.
I think there is. And I think some have gotten in trouble for that.
Oh, okay.
Providing a space for that. Look, I'm not a lawyer, but it's certainly wrong, certainly immoral.
Yeah.
And I you got to think they make some effort to stop that, though. I think there's a lot of it. There are a lot of creepy people out there.
Yeah,
bro. There, I forget if it was Project Veritas or if it was OMG or if it was just some other investigative journal, company. But they had a guy from P-Hub talking about how easy it is to circumnavigate the verification and that people, traffickers, use these types of sites because they know that there's no verification. And you personally have very likely, if you've been on one of these sites, accidentally watched some CP. That's the way that works. And what did the guy say? Well, if we come, I don't remember exactly, but he's like, basically, there's everybody does it. If we come down too hard on it, they'll just go to another site. There's definitely a lot of creepy people out there. So he says 230 is like the DMCA. It's more of a harmful mess than a help. Yup.
Yeah.
And the number of creepy people is increasing.
You think so?
Oh,
seems to be.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
Seems to be.
How many? Really? You think so? I definitely think so. Think about how many people were okay with let's just take the issue of sexuality. Now, I'm not a prude. I'm pretty liberal when it comes to, do what you want to do, have fun, and just don't hurt people and whatever. But think about the way that we talk about sex, the way that we think about sex from even the last 10 years. It's gotten a lot creepier. And it's not because the people have necessarily changed. It's because what they were always attracted to is simply now becoming more normalized.
Yeah, I wonder why that is, huh?
Because you can look.
We're losing our co-host. No, don't lose. Oh, yeah, just stay here. I promise we're gonna get something soon.
People. It's kind of like you said you wouldn't allow video of kids fighting on the internet because it inspires other kids to fight. I think, you know, creepiness inspires creepiness, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, man, I just want to get to know you a little bit.
I want to get
after talking about
something, not like the whole shower thing.
Oh no,
out.
No, you don't weigh enough. I don't think.
Close
for what I'm looking for. Okay. Yeah, man, nice to meet you. So you grew up in California, right?
I did.
And so were you in a fraternity? I think that's the most thing people look at when they see
in a fraternity.
Yeah,
no,
like,
I wasn't.
This guy?
No.
All right, so before he goes into that, let's address our running poll. Which one would you rather be? This is one for the Theo Von fans because it is very obvious if you know what they mean. So which one would you rather be? A lot lizard or a rat king? Lot lizard or rat king? Replay gang, let me know in the comments below. Nick says, I liked when I was 21, 22 and would get off work, come home, get in the shower, and my girlfriend would just come and jump in with me. We didn't let getting cold become a possibility. I hear ya. I feel ya. But every night, nah, that's my thinking time. You know, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, I have something playing, whether it's a video, whether it's a podcast, whether it's this, whether it's that, something playing in my ear, usually at 2 times speed or faster. And so when I'm in the shower, I just want the water to myself, the time to myself, and my thoughts to myself. That's all I want. Shout out to Daniel Cabrera. Welcome to the party. Not feeling so great. So sending our best wishes. Daniel, hope you feel better, sir. Hey, and we got Indie Film. Shout out to Indie Film. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And of course, we got Morty's chair back, so it's right there. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh,
really?
No.
Okay.
I never joined a fraternity. All my roommates joined a fraternity. I actually lived in a fraternity, but I never joined.
And
yeah, that's weird. That exact same thing happened to me. I wasn't in a fraternity, but because my school had fraternities that were off campus because it was by and large, it was a dry campus. And then when I moved off campus, I had a bunch of friends that were in a frat, and they were like, "Yo, there's space here." I ended up in the master bedroom of one of the biggest frats on campus. Fun stuff.
I don't like to be told what to do
without being in the frat
at all.
Really?
No.
Me neither, dude.
Like at all.
Yeah,
that's
at all.
Shit.
Yeah. It's my biggest. It's like I have a moral claustrophobia about being told what to do.
Are any of you guys in frats? I think that's I mean, because I was living around that, I saw it a lot. But out in the world, I guess I don't really ask people very often about it. But I don't know many people that are in fraternities that use it in real life. I'm sure they do, and I'm just not aware of it. But just curious. Don't worry about that, Daniel. Don't worry at all.
I'm happy to do things.
Yeah.
I don't mind
You want to come up here?
serving other people, but it has to be voluntary. It can't be
go.
ordered around.
Yeah, I don't like being told what
Hey,
to
bitch,
do.
go get me a cigarette. You're a pledge. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't
I'm
think.
not going to do that.
Yeah, and I don't want to be told what to do by some white kid that's in poli-sci or whatever.
Or any color kid.
Yeah.
No color kid.
Yeah, there you go, Tucker. Any color kid. It's not about the white kids. It's not about the brown kids. It's any kid. It's not about color.
Or adult, for that matter. I just don't want to be bossed around. And by the way, I don't mind taking advice or wise counsel from people I respect, or I'm often wrong. I'm not saying that I'm always right. I'm definitely not. But being ordered to do things suggests a level of disrespect. I just can't deal with it. Yeah.
So none of you guys are in frats? Because I feel that was the main thing for me, is that this whole pledging process. And even before I was in, I've told you guys that the lead attorney had a YouTube mastermind where it was $50 a month, not super cheap, but you would, a bunch of YouTubers would have a Zoom meeting every, twice a week, talk about, how we can grow our channels and stuff. And I kind of outgrew it just because a lot of those people are not, the people who are going to be watching here. And so, they're not into the politics and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't getting as much help as I could. But before that, have I talked about this on stream before? So before that, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Jack Murphy. He was the is this him? No, not him. Jack Murphy. Oh, where is he? This guy. Open image and new tab. There we go. This guy, Jack Murphy. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with Jack Murphy. He's been he used to go on Timcast all the time, and he had a why is this not zooming in? There we go. Oh, that's as far as we go. He had a men's group, and I'm thinking, okay, I would like to meet more people. I would like to become more of a man. This is after I'm realizing that, oh, okay, Disney movies and rom-coms and all that stuff, that's not how you get women. And I just had my heart broken because of this, that, and the other. And he seems like a dude's a man. Blah, blah. And I joined, and it was not cheap, but I was like, okay, this is, investing in myself. This is, networking, all that kind of stuff. And the first thing, instead of welcoming, instead of, get to know people, they would put you in an even smaller group, like a graduating class type thing. And then you all had to do like an essay, and you had to, make sure you're going to work out 5 times a week. And it's like, bro, this is what I'm here for, is to get help with doing all those things. Yep. And it was just so backwards. It was so backwards that it's like, this is not what I'm here for. Like, you can help people without making them prove that you're one of us first. And so, I mean, I'm surprised, or I'm not surprised rather, that none of you guys are in fraternities. It's a weird thing. Alan 69 said should have owned his past, but he tried to hide it. Just like our boy Ron Ron Defensive, instead of just owning the fact that he's 5'7", 5'8", he's like, no, I'm 5'11", with heels. Come on, man. Shout out to Stephanie Miller. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. So yeah, I definitely have had my experience with trying to be part of a group where they feel like you have to prove to them that you're one of them before they even give you the basic decency. And I'm not about that. I think that it's important, if you're going to, like, you see what I do here. If somebody new comes in, I assume that they are, on the up and up. They're here for a conversation. They're interested in the same kinds of things, until you show me a reason otherwise. I have no reason to say that you need to prove yourself being here. That's ridiculous. So no, just to be okay. So put a 1 in the chat if you were not in a fraternity or sorority.
To do things suggests a level of disrespect. I just can't deal with it at all.
And even just about like work and stuff, were you always like that from just like with work, like you want to be your own voice?
Of course, yeah. I mean,
that's where you end up, right?
Keep getting fired,
right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, not that I don't want to fight about it. I'm not interested in being like, you can't tell me what to do, or give a lot of lectures about it.
I am. I'm right out here on the front line saying you, and you cannot tell me what to do. So Nick wasn't. Yeah, not surprising. Didn't go to a 4-year college. Fair enough. Yeah, it's not surprising that that kind of social dynamic doesn't really fit kind of how we think about life and things and stuff. That people should be judged on their merit, not what they do for you. So I guess that's not surprising at all.
But I especially in my business, you have a similar job where you're paid to say what you think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you want to do your job, which is to say what you think.
Was there even a time when you were working at different news places where you were like, gosh, this still isn't my own voice?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
I mean, working for mainstream media. And this is, again, why I'm so appreciative of Theo's perspective. Because we know, obviously, he wasn't unfettered at Fox News. I think he was at CNN before then. Like, obviously. But if you're not in that world, then you don't know. You can assume, but you don't know.
It was always my own voice, but they're just, you could feel the parameters. I mean, I started in my 20s, mid 20s. Now in my mid 50s, so it's been a long time.
Well, you look great for 50s, man.
He does. I was just thinking that. I was just thinking he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't look young. It's not a great freeze frame, but he doesn't look young. But what did he say? 56, 54? That's pretty good for 54. I'm not mad at it.
54.
Are you really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
I know. Isn't that shocking? It's shocking. I don't feel it. But anyway, but when you're much younger and you've got little kids, I always had a lot of kids just reproduce like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Which I recommend strongly to you.
How many kids does he have? Oh, let's see that. How many kids? Oh, that's not control. How many kids does Tucker Carlson have? Oh, 4. He made it sound like he had a whole, like, I mean, he made it sound like he had a whole football team over there. Just curious.
You know, you feel vulnerable and like, you know, you're not allowed to say certain things. And I do think I was never censored, but I self-censored for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And even me. I mean, you guys hear the words when instead of like at the beginning of this conversation, instead of saying the P word, I said P-Hub. We talk about pew-pews. We talk about ending yourself. We talk about these things because we have to self-censor because we know. I know. You know, I was just looking at, I think I talked about how LFR family decided to pivot away from political content because he saw that Lou Valentino got demonetized, and he's like, he runs, he takes care of his family based off of YouTube money, and so he's like, look, I'm not willing to risk that, and a lot of people were giving him flack because they were like, oh, you got to be a pussy, you just got to be tough and be courageous and stand through it, which is something that I do generally stand for. But on an individual level, of course, everybody has to make their own choices and what's appropriate for them. I don't know his situation. I think he was talking about how he had strikes on the channel. I don't know, the makeup of his family. I don't know that kind of stuff. So I'm not in a position to judge any individual. I will say that part of the game, a part of the game is putting yourself out there for criticism, for all the bullshit that comes with being somebody who publicly talks about politics. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and you have to. There's a lot to do with navigating what is okay to say and what has to be said with what needs to be said. Shout out to Rhett in action in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. 169 said, me and Tucker are the same age. It sneaks up on you. My brain says go for it. My body says, what the fuck are you doing? Sneaks up on you indeed. I mean, I'm gonna be is it already November? Jesus fucking Christ. I'm gonna be 34. God damn.
War in Iraq breaks out and you're like, maybe it's a good idea. It's not a good idea. And you know it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you allow yourself to be convinced because it's super unpopular to say it's not a good idea, but it clearly wasn't. War with Iran, not a good idea right now.
Why do we go along with that consensus a lot of times? What is it that makes us afraid to speak out?
Well, people have a deep need to be part of a group.
Yep.
It's a human need right up there with sex and food and shelter. It's like people want to be connected to other people, which
exactly, and that's the core human lizard brain desire that is behind all of how all this leftist stuff became what it is. That everybody has to be part of a group at some level, whether that's your family, whether that's having friends, whether that's a political thing. Having community is a human need. And so when people are isolated, and then the pervasive message that the pervasive messaging that they're seeing is that family is bad, America is bad, this is bad, that is bad, then you're going to not connect to people. You're just going to connect to the people who are saying the same thing. So you just have a bunch of angry people who are connected, who believe that they have something legitimate to be angry about, and then they play that out on the world. Like, come on, come on. 69 said, we are social beings. It's why the lockdowns were so mentally devastating.
Bingo.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which I understand, and I want that too. But that can override reason and common sense very often. So if you're, and a million studies been done on this, but if you're in a group, I mean, everyone experiences, you're in a group full of people and everyone's like, you know,
Yeah, they are going after it. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying, guys. That's why send me an email, the Indian Jesus official. I will give you free stickers. I'm not going to send you bullshit. I just want to make sure that we can always be connected. They said my great grandma had 12 children. That is what it sounded like with Tucker. Mom's dad was number 6. My family is single-handedly responsible for the overpopulation in the country. There you go. There you go. So he said, it's strange how much left social systems mirror noble caste social systems. Yup.
I hate chocolate ice cream. And you're like, I kind of like chocolate ice cream, but you don't say anything about it because people that like chocolate ice cream suck. And you're like, yeah, they kind of suck. You know,
chocolate ice cream being white people.
Oh, it's a human thing. And so it's, people go along with stuff that their gut tells them isn't the right thing, but you should never ignore your gut, your instincts, which you inherited from your ancestors, which are encoded in your DNA and which are almost never wrong.
I mean, not almost never wrong, but yeah, right. It's exactly right that it's so extreme and sensationalized that it wasn't always this way, but slowly things have moved in this direction and we keep pushing them in this direction. And at first, when Trump came on the scene, I was of the opinion that Trump was a jump forward in all of this. But I now realize that we were already so far down that road that we needed a Trump to break the cycle and hopefully, if not get back to what we had, bring about a new type of politics that do make sense. We said the noble caste systems are all about status and who you know. Don't you know who I am? A favorite line of the lefties. I mean, let's call it out too. Lauren Boebert, that's all around. That's all around. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Out sponsoring himself with another $5 action. Shouting out right in action. Let's go this way and this way. Here. Come on, you gotta, they're waiting for you to eat it, Bubba. What, you don't want it? What's the matter? Well, it's right here. Thank you, sir. Out sponsoring yourself. Thank you very much. Here, one more time. You want it? Why don't you want it? It's a peanut. It's not even your kibble. This guy. Thank you, sir. Very, very much.
If you're with someone and you feel like, God, that person's lying. That person's lying.
Right.
You may not know what about. You don't have X-ray vision into someone's soul, but you can smell the deception on someone. I know that you can. We all can.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you feel danger, you're like, wow, this person poses a threat to me. You're right. You don't know the details. You don't need to know the details. Get away.
Yeah.
And if something's really stupid, like, let's go have a war with Iran. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And
I hear what he says, but there's a lot. And because of the fact that our instincts were based on, how we evolved over the years, and we've only been a species that lives like indoors and has electricity and all that kind of stuff for a very, very, very short period of human history. And so our instincts were based for when we lived outside and didn't have any kind of civilization. So I get what he's saying, that, trust your gut. That's generally a good thing. But there's a lot of times where, your truth and I'm feeling like it's the vibes, and be careful with that. Be careful with that.
I just feel like it's, maybe because of my age and my job, I have a moral obligation to say, I think that's really unwise.
You don't want to go to war with Iran.
No, because I'm not insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh yeah, look, I'm not saying it is either.
Sure.
I don't think that we should be involved in a lot of this shit.
You think? How's it
don't
helping?
think so.
Is it helping you a lot?
There we go. So it doesn't have to be somebody who's in the weeds and understands every aspect of this conflict and the history that led up to it and the other side of the conflict and this and that, to be able to see maybe this isn't the best idea. Maybe we don't want to be involved in this. So he says, Trump is the best leader we've had in decades. Why? He made people question the government.
Bingo.
Yep. We lived in private home dwellings for only a few centuries. Yeah, and we've been here for millions of years. Millions. Yeah, back when the kids had to help work the family farm. Exactly. So that is even that is a bygone era, but is still in front of where our brains evolved to. Like evolution happens over such a long period of time that even a bygone era where kids would work to the family farm, we're biologically and physiologically, we're not even caught up to that yet. So it's yeah, same kind of thing. So we definitely got to be careful with instincts. They're good. You definitely want to trust your gut in most situations, but also be careful.
No, it's just causing
all these moral victories you're winning.
It's causing more problems. I don't even know if I'm winning any moral victories. It just causes more problems, you know? It's like hard to navigate between my friends that are different ethnicities or from different places now. It's
but we shouldn't have to, because we all live here, and we should all be united in that.
Exactly.
Right. But do you think, and I think when I was a child, it felt like that we were all it felt like we were united, that we were all like Americans.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was in 6th grade when 9/11 happened. So most of my childhood, like before 6th grade, you're not really thinking about patriotism and whatever. You're more just in your small social group. But from that age, that was my first introduction to, world politics and patriotism and stuff. And so maybe that has a big deal to as to why millennials and older still hold on to this level of patriotism that Gen Z just doesn't have. But I don't know. Rhett in Action says, did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the exact same friggin' thing over and over again, expecting the crap to change. The guy from Far Cry 3. Well, I mean, he didn't originate that quote. I believe that was an Einstein quote, but nonetheless, very, very true.
Yes. But it doesn't, I feel like that's been pretty heavily compromised pretty quickly even, which is almost amazing. And I feel like, and these aren't Debbie Downer feelings. These are just thoughts.
No, these are observations. And so this is when you get the lefties source. Theo's not reading about geopolitics, and that's not an insult. That's just not what he does, and that's perfectly fine, like most people. But still, he can say, "Well, no, the wars are not making my life better. No, I don't feel like this is a good thing." So when somebody comes down to source, you don't need to have a source to say peace is better than war. Obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But as I've been, doing more reading and listening to people talk about this, listen to debates of people who are well read on this, it's the same conversation. Oh, well, they were here first, and what are we gonna do? And then where are they gonna go? And then they did this, but they did that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So don't let these people make you feel like just because they know somebody's name from 1948 that you don't have the right to have an opinion on what's going on.
Say that. I think sometimes that, yeah, it's like America just feels like a shell company.
Yes.
That
hold on.
I think sometimes that, yeah, it's like America just feels like a shell company.
Yes.
That
people just park their assets.
We're just an LLC for the world. For a lot of
Absolutely. What study do you have to show that? But he is spot on. So again, I will say, do not let them make you feel inferior because you haven't read every single little thing. Now, again, that doesn't mean that if somebody did read something and does know something more than you, that you should brush it off. But it's not just because they read something.
No, I mean,
have we always been that?
Of course not. It was a real country. It wasn't just an idea or some shell company or LLC. That's so nice. I'm stealing that, by the way. I hope this never airs so I can steal that.
Yeah.
But no, a buddy of mine, one of my best friends.
And I never got to know that world because the patriotism that I was just speaking of from 9/11 was superficial. It was I didn't know it at the time, so it was very real to me. But it was superficial, and I think it really was uniting. But clearly, it didn't send us on a path of coming closer together and learning to hold hands and kumbaya and all that stuff. Like it's just, that's not what happened. Written action says peace can't be achieved. It just can't. If we want peace, we have to fight for it. So to get peace, we have to do the opposite of peace, meaning there cannot be full world peace. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. Unfortunately, there are people who want to do things that hurt and aggress upon other people. That is not going to stop. Now, of course, again, we can get into who needs to do the fighting and who should be doing the fighting and who deserves the fight, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, peace cannot be achieved. There will always be people who, like, theoretically it could, but because people have dogmatic beliefs about what should be that are completely conflicting with what other people believe dogmatically that should be the case, they're never going to be like, oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I see your point.
Just sent me a video about 8 minutes ago. He's visiting his daughter at Parents Weekend at a college, a well-known college. And there's a huge demonstration in the middle of campus between, two sides in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sides starts burning the other side's flag. It's a foreign flag, okay?
Okay.
And this fist fight breaks out. And I'm like, I have views on, who's more right or whatever, but I thought to myself, and I said to him, if someone burned an American flag, nobody would fight over it. You get to burn the American flag, but
I don't know about all that. Didn't Trump say something about, I think it was tongue in cheek, but didn't he say something about wanting to make it illegal to burn the American flag? And I know a lot of people who would be very, very offended at the notion of a flag burning. And I think I know a decent amount of those people who would be willing to get into a physical conflict if they saw that happening in their in their face. So I don't know. What do you guys think? So we said peace is like self-defense. If you are armed and able to protect yourself, you'll have peace because you prepared for war. Exactly. So when you marry these two ideas, that there are people who are going to always want to take advantage and do wrong things, and then you allow people to defend themselves, then that's the best way to keep what peace we can have, because it's a deterrent to those who want to disrupt the peace, because we're prepared for war. Red said there was actually a really interesting quote I heard. Quote, war is simply doing bad in hope that good may come out of it. Shout out to H.D. Filch. Great quote there. That is a great quote. War is simply doing bad in hope that some good may come out of it. Hope it. Crossing our fingers. Maybe Putin will do this. Maybe Netanyahu do this. Maybe Hamas will just lay down their arms and be like, you know what? Just like Kanye, we watched 21 Jump Street and we love the Jews now.
Burning the flag of another country, which is not our country, to which we do not pay taxes, whose military we don't serve in.
Actually, I want to back that up because that's important to the point that he's making.
Who's on, who's more right or whatever. But I thought to myself, and I said to him, if someone burned an American flag, nobody would fight over it. You get to burn the American flag. But burning the flag of another country, which is not our country, to which we do not pay taxes, whose military we don't serve in, that's the most offensive thing. Yeah. I'm like, we have lost the thread, man. We're all Americans. And if you wind up in a place where our allegiance to other countries or regions or things that are not American take precedence over our common Americanness, we're screwed. We're screwed.
I feel like we're at the apex of that sometimes.
Yes.
And if we're not at the apex of that, I don't think I can't tell if we're at that I think we're getting to that in the moral compass of a lot of people.
Bro, like, this is what I do. I come and try to determine where, the political landscape, specifically on cultural issues. We spent weeks, because I was being lazy and wouldn't look up the word apex, talking about specifically how the pendulum, swings back and forth. And I think that we are reaching that apex. And Theo Von, and I don't mean to put Theo Von down. He's obviously a very smart individual. He's just, I wouldn't expect him to think that I'd be very good at comedy in the same way that I wouldn't expect him to know a lot about, cultural politics on a street level. But the point is that we're both feeling the same thing. We're all feeling the same thing. Somebody says the people with dogmatic beliefs just have to recognize that everyone has the right to make that choice. I don't have to concede that I might be wrong to recognize that you're right to decide for yourself. Yep, but the problem is that is okay within your dogmatic beliefs. There's other dogmatic beliefs that specifically do say that, yes, not everybody has the right to have those beliefs. You have to believe this particular thing. And because it is dogmatic, we can't reason people out of that. That's what Rhett was talking about why peace can't be achieved. It's not because people are incapable of peace. It's because people have decided to take up a dogmatic ideology that says this group of people must die. You can't reason with that. I mean, globalism is definitely, not great, but I got to put it more on dogma. Yeah, exactly. Red says about that quote about insanity, politicians are insane.
Bingo.
Politicians, I'm not a politician. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not a politician. Politicians are trapped in an echo chamber of, hey, the other person sucks, and they expect to get elected. It's true, but guess what? They say, hey, the other person sucks. And then they do get elected. That's how we have Joe Biden in the White House. Unfortunately, this is something that's been coming up. And those of you who've been here for a while remember that I bring this up all the time, that there was somebody who asked me what I think matters more in politics in general. Is it policy or is it feelings? And so, of course, I was like, well, obviously policy. But I was thinking about it. And within the same stream, I had to go back and be like, you know what? No, I don't think it is policy. It's about feelings. And so somebody who is a Ron DeSantis fan was looking at the last stream that we did and was saying, like, I don't know, what could Ron have done to make you, to please you in this podcast? It doesn't seem like there's anything that could have been done. And the problem is that my perspective wasn't, I'm not going to vote for you because this, and this. I'm taking the position of, this is what people are going to think. And so what might seem inconsequential to me and to you is everything to a lot of other people. That's why the taller candidate usually wins. That's why the more attractive or the one with the more symmetrical face usually wins. It's subconscious things that people, they want this. They want, hey, that other person sucks. That's what they want. And it's sad. We need to elevate ourselves. At the end of the day, politicians reflect the people. We elect them. And so if, hey, the other person sucks, didn't work with us, the people, then they wouldn't be in office. So as much as we want to blame the politicians, they didn't get there by themselves. They did not get there by themselves. Nick says technology is the one thing war has driven throughout history. For better or worse, it is debatable, but I'm glad for much of it. Yeah, I mean, technology is a tool just like any other. So just like any other tool, in the right hands, it can do great things. In the wrong hands, it can do terrible things. It says, to me, anyone who talks about politics is a politician. That is the way I taught myself. Okay, well, I'm going to re-educate you. A politician is somebody who is engaged in the civics process of politics. So if you hold office, you are a politician. What you may be thinking is a pundit or an activist. But a politician has to hold an office, or at least try to hold office. So, I mean, you could call me a pundit, but I'm certainly not a politician. Zippy says, globalism reduces competition of ideas, which pushes the market to profit more greatly off dogma that normally would be too cost-prohibitive to do. Yep. 169 says, I hate to say it, but being nice in politics gets you nowhere. Your enemies will see you as weak and exploit it to their gain. Yep. And that's where we have the saying. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness, because people will confuse kindness for weakness. So I guess that, and Red said, I guess that's why you are the second coming of common sense. Indeed. You got it, brother. You got it. All right, let's back this up a little bit.
We're not at the apex of that. I don't think I can't tell if we're at that I think we're getting to that in the moral compass of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I think a lot of people myself included, or for myself, I don't think I ever wanted to get to that place.
No,
I never, but I think a lot of people are just starting to feel like, you know, once your Americanism like dissolves, and once your like common thread dissolves,
there's nothing left. There's nothing left. And so, well, as they're talking like, oh, we didn't want things to get here, there's a whole swath of the population who is actively pushing things to go in this direction and make things worse, because they have this idea of from the ashes the phoenix will rise, and America's so bad and oppressors and this and that we have to completely redo it, and revolution, as if that can happen without the type of war that we're seeing across the world. You don't want that. You don't want that.
You don't have a connection, you know, and so then it's your instincts start to take over, like we're kind of talking about, and you have to take care of yourself. And so once like the ice you're on starts to get melting, like before you're on an ice, you can skate, you're seeing other people, you're fucking you know, you're buying a, you know, bootleg Gretzky jersey off somebody, whatever. You guys are all on the ice, right? You're imitating Home Alone. There's a fucking, you know, there's gay guys always on the ice, but it's like,
what are the gays doing on the ice, dude?
Skating, bro. Yeah.
Stupid.
But
Stupid
they're having
right.
fun, right? I live, and I'll say that I live with a gay ice skater, and he could jump over a Volkswagen, right?
That's impressive.
Oh, it was unbelievable, bro. I'd never seen
How
it.
strong ankles.
I mean, just the dude was like, yeah, he brought us out of the living room once and showed us and blew our minds, man. Beautiful guy. Not that great. I mean, pretty beautiful, I guess. Tall, which adds a little
well
bit.
built too, obviously.
Oh, yeah, kind of. I don't know. I'm gonna quit thinking about him. But but anyway, but once that ice starts to melt, the first thing you have to think about is yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I feel like where we're at now. And a lot of people are having to think about themselves, like literally watching our country, or what we viewed as our ideals and morals and what we held dear, like
absolutely
sink in this water. And there's nothing you can do about it except take care of yourself.
There's nothing you can do about it except take care of yourself. And if everybody takes care of themselves, then everybody's going to be taken care of. Instead of looking to daddy government to fix everything for me, take care of yourself. And the reason I said it would be interesting to see people answer the question: are you a global citizen or American citizen? How do you define yourself? Interesting. I mean, I know here we would all say Americans. I'd be very surprised if any one of you guys said a global citizen before American. Obviously, we are citizens of Earth, but you know, I would be very surprised. But in a general poll, that would be very, very interesting to see.
That's where I feel like a lot of people are at. There's nothing they can do right now but take care of themselves.
And they're displacing a lot of their frustration about our economy, which we never talk about. It's getting very expensive for people to live here, like too expensive, actually.
Oh, yeah. I saw some gas the other day. I was like,
well, unless you're an illegal immigrant, in which you get free everything. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Come on, man.
Jesus, man.
How do people afford that?
Yeah.
You know,
well, how do you even do a bonfire anymore? You know what I'm saying?
It's totally
like,
right.
Yeah.
No, it's completely right.
Yeah.
How do you, if you want to take, you know, gasoline and pour it on the pallets, like it's $6, you know?
Right.
But they're displacing a lot of that frustration onto regions, countries, conflicts that are thousands of miles away.
So when you wonder why people are so ready to jump into taking sides with Ukraine and Russia, and then so quickly switch over to Israel, Palestine, or Hamas, or whatever, it's because there's so much going on here that we can't do anything about it, and we've been talking about it forever. But at what point are we just gonna be like, I mean, like, all right, we said our piece. We said our piece, and nobody's listening. So let's complain about something else. That's all we can do. Unless we do what we're doing right now and build a community so that our complaints, our message, our grievances have a chance of being heard by the people that actually matter.
It's almost like I'm picking a team and all my rage is going to... And I do wish people reserve their anger for our leaders, who deserve it, in my opinion, on both sides, and for the problems that are like besetting the country. You drive through America recently, it's like not in good shape at all. It's kind of poor, actually. It's shockingly poor.
Yeah, but another 100 billion over to this country or that country, no big deal, because they're allies and they're people and there's stuff and there's things, right?
And people should be really mad about that. And instead they're mad about whatever, Israel, Hamas. I mean, I get it. I think they're, you know, I understand people are upset on both sides. However, it's unhealthy to spend all your time in your head enraged about a foreign conflict when your own country is suffering so badly. Like, we need that energy, that constructive energy here.
Bingo.
And I never hear anybody say 108,000 people died of fentanyl ODs last year in my country.
Oh yeah.
Like, young people, a lot of whom weren't doing fentanyl. They were taking Percocet or benzos.
And guys, those were my drugs. Those are my drugs. For those who don't know, most of my early 20s, I was a drug addict, and I was into these type of painkiller pills, benzos, Xanax, Percocet, whatever. And luckily, fentanyl wasn't as big of a thing, but I could be dead. Not because I'm trying to intravenously, do this, that, or whatever, but just a pill that I assume is from a doctor, from some lady who, gets a prescription and she decides she doesn't need them and she needs to make a little extra money, and we're, fiending and willing to pay for it, and then I'm dead. But no money needs to be spent here. We need to make sure that the Ukrainians are living large. So you can't, if you cannot help and take care of the community you live in, there's nothing you can do for the world. Because once your money leaves your area, it may as well be devoured by the void. Yeah, this is what we talk about all the time about this world police thing. Like, how can we pour from an empty cup? We literally are only able to do it because we're physically printing money. And we're forcing people to use our currency. How long is that going to last?
And they ingested a pill with fentanyl in it and they died. They were poisoned to death, okay? That's unbelievable. That's outrageous. No one seems mad about that.
Yeah.
They're mad about some foreign war, and what a waste, because we can't control that anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. People want to pretend like you can have an effect, but you just can't.
Yeah, well,
Oh, come on.
Big thing, like I remember watching that show. What was that show that I really liked?
If you guys haven't seen that,
Yeah, Dope Sick. You see Dope Sick?
if you haven't seen Dope Sick on Netflix, it is fantastic. Once again, I said, "Damn, Lutch, you want some heavy stuff." And a farming setting, fentanyl is measured in micrograms. That's how strong it is. Yeah, have you guys seen like the pictures of even compared to dope? You know what the fuck I mean. Like this. When like the levels, I believe this is the lethal dose. So not only so you have this much, that's a decent amount of powder there. But then you look at this one, and it doesn't even cover the bottom. And now they have this carfentanil, which one little flake will kill you. One little flake. And these things, the top of it, this is inches. This is 2 inch tall. And that's what we're talking about. So luckily, I was, at the time, I only ever did heroin a couple times after Akon died. And I realized that it's very dark and I did not want to go down that road. But it's scary. It's scary. Yeah, you really have to be careful. And it was all planned. Maybe not specifically planned out with a roadmap, but they knew what was going on. They knew exactly what these drugs did, how addicted they were, and they just said, fuck it. We can make money. Yeah, that's the only way that it is for most people to be able to use it and not die. It has to be like with Percocet. You'll usually get the say the 350 or the 10700, which means that it's 5 milligrams of the Percocet and then 350 milligrams of just regular acetaminophen Tylenol. That's what's in a normal 5 milligram Percocet pill. So it's 355 milligrams of stuff, but it's only 5 milligrams of the thing, and then they double it with that. And they have to do that because it's such a strong drug. And so when we were able to get, Roxicet or blues, or as we call them, or even just the perk 10s that were just the straight up, they were much smaller, but it was pure Percocet, it was pure hydrocodone. That was a lot better because there wasn't the binding agents, and you could rip those up, and in minutes you're just into a dream world. That was my life for a good number of years. So, if definitely check out Dope Sick.
No,
Man.
I don't know if I could handle it.
That, well, yeah, 70 saying killing people is bad for business, but the business was booming so much that they didn't care. They were writing that off as an accounting, cost of business. Some people are going to die. They didn't care.
But I live in a place with a lot of that, so I see it.
Well, it's about it's about Michael Keaton is in it, right? I think that's him. He used to be Batman,
Yeah.
but now I guess he's selling drugs, right?
It's not Michael Keaton, but oh, that's a different one. Oh, that's on Hulu. Oh, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the one with oh, it was on Netflix, The Sackler Family, and it was more of like a dramatic docudrama type thing. I gotta check this out. So we said Roxas said the microwave thing, and that's what they were. So no, it's not that. So if we have I don't know. So what's this? So what I'm talking about is these, or no, these. No. This is what we would call a blue. So this is 30 milligrams of hydrocodone with nothing else. What I was talking about is, let's see, yellow pill OP. I was talking about these. So what you would do, these are the non-crushables. So it's not a regular tablet, like you could just crush it like whatever. It has a waxy substance around it. And then it's a spongy type thing. So you're meant to, ingest it. But as drug addicts, we were trying to whatever. So last night, in the after party, we were talking about microwaving these. So because you can't crush them down, some of my friends would want to microwave them so that they would melt into a liquid. Then pour the liquid into a thing and put it in the freezer so that it would freeze as a liquid, and then crush it from there. Just eat it. But that's what drugs do to your brain. That is what drugs do to your brain. Let's see, they didn't care. They knew more would come along to take their place. Exactly. Nick says, I was being given 75 micrograms per hour Fenty patches for my back pain, and it didn't even help enough. It scared me, so I had my doctor switch to 100 milligrams of morphine sulfates. That's heavy stuff, man. That is heavy stuff. Yeah, for the oxy. Yep. You know it well. Right.
Which is a perfect example.
Oh, it's about Purdue Pharma.
It's a perfect example of our country. Even Batman is fucking selling pills, Well,
the company that got the country got rural America.
Oh, that is Michael Keaton.
Opioids got away with it. I mean,
well,
they paid a fine. Unbelievable. Nobody went to jail.
Yeah,
the Sackler family, they're still rich, and like really they didn't go to jail.
That's what this ruined this. I think about this every single day. I hate the Sackler family. I hate this whole thing that happened. It's unbelievable.
But they got away with it. How do you do that?
Well, these people, this country.
Painkiller. That's what I was thinking of. Painkiller. Do we have a? It's what's this guy's name? Matthew Broderick. Yeah, he plays the main guy. So if you have Netflix, definitely check that out. If you do not have Netflix, let me know. And if you're in Discord, we can do a watch party. Zuby says, and thank the drug war making things worse. Yep. So pain management is a bitch. The drug abusers ruined it for people in legit pain with little options. Yep, that. But guilty as charged. I absolutely was part of why it got harder and harder for people who, like you're saying, legitimately needed these things to get them, because there was people like me out here trying to get whatever we could get to just get high. And I'm not going to downplay the reality of what I think got me into addiction. And there was real shit that I was running away from. But that doesn't change the fact that there was real people who really were in pain, who really needed this medication, and they couldn't get it. And I feel bad about that. I definitely do.
Thing that happened. It's unbelievable.
But they got away with it. How do you do that?
Well, these people, this country, they let our FDA let these people down.
But no one was punished. Not one person was punished.
Yeah, I know.
And you see people go to jail. I mean, this is not even a political point. It's true. On both sides, you know, voters for both parties go to jail for very small things. Very small things.
Yeah.
And yet you like poison the entire country. You wreck an entire generation of kids. And you're still a billionaire? Tell me how that works.
I don't know.
But walk in the Capitol building after a cop escorts you in, right to jail. Right to jail.
If I ever saw that guy on the street, I would fucking saw his face off.
How would you saw his face off?
I'd figure it out.
Do you bring a saw? Do you have a saw with you?
I'd just turn into a saw. That's how much I hate that guy. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Theo. I'm going to turn into a saw. It says I go as long as possible before I take anything for pain now. Sometimes I start getting withdrawals. Yeah, man. That's the horror of it, is that even if you want to be responsible, it pulls you in. And it's not even purely a psychological thing. Because for me, I was using it to get high, to escape my problems, to feel good. And so with the levels of my tolerance, it would just go up, and I would have to take more and more and more to get the same feeling. But in terms of the withdrawals, then before you take, it's horrible. It's horrible. So I mean, it's just something. It's hard to talk about because it's just there's people like Nick out here who really really need it, and then there's people who never needed it and still life ruined. Now, I luckily I didn't destroy my life, but I certainly threw away a number of years when I could have been doing anything productive. So he said I went off the ADHD meds when I could no longer stand the 2 to 5 hour bus rides to the mental pain clinics. It was not worth the stress. And I mean, that's a whole other story about the system itself, of why it's so difficult for people who need healthcare to get healthcare. And I think a lot of that has to do with the extremes, like Rhett was talking about earlier, the extremes of saying one side is saying, oh, they just want to take all your money and force doctors to do this. And the other side is saying, oh, they want you to die in the streets because they don't want universal healthcare. It's like, no, guys, it's a little bit more complex than that. How about we sit and have an adult conversation about it? They're like, no, you're racist.
I'd just turn into a saw. That's how much I hate that guy.
I want to hear that
fucking
again.
saw his face off.
How would you saw his face off?
I'd figure it out.
Do you bring a saw? Do you have a saw with you?
I'd just turn into a saw. That's how much I hate that guy. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable how many people I got killed in no care concern.
No.
And then the way that they lobbied our own FDA people, they took them off of the job and paid them more to work for them to help them beat the laws.
Yeah, there you go. This is the one I was talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Shout out to Stephanie Miller, 2 surgeries, 3 pretty bad injuries, no narcotics. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Let's. Is it appropriate to drink to that? Let's drink to it. Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely a reason to be scared of them, but it doesn't necessarily, like, it's not. The old adage is, oh, you try it one time and you're hooked for life. Like, kind of, yes, but also not at all. If you are aware that, you can, the monster that you're dealing with, and you talk to a doctor and you use them in the way that they're meant to be used, I mean, the level of pain that these are meant to address is, okay, it's not ideal, but it's like with chemotherapy. Like, it's not good with your body, what it does to your body, but the cancer is worse, so you treat it in the way that you can. But yeah, this is the movie that I was talking about. I forget already what it was called, but Netflix, check it out.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I didn't mean to bring that up.
Yup.
No. But I mean, next time they tell me I have to take some pharma product, I'm probably going to pass. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to pass. I don't trust you anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I miss the days you could get some fucking good pills too.
I said, shit, me too. I miss the days when you could get some good pills. And just like they're saying, because of people like me, these days they don't give you very many after surgery, maybe a couple of days at most. Yep. And so like I now take a benzo for my anxiety, like as prescribed, but it's still something like, you know, there's most medications you could call and then it's just, you know, auto renewed and you can auto pay and whatever. But I have to call in a new thing every 6 months. And it should be more than that, but you know, we're not going to get into that. But it's because it's a narcotic, and you know, I haven't raised. I was like, long story short, they wanted to put me on SSRIs, and I was like, I'm not taking antidepressants. I understand that I have, you know, I only have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I understand enough to know that I have anxiety, and that is what causes depressive thoughts. So if we address the anxiety, I'll be good. Turns out I was right. And now I'm not addicted to anything. Well, I mean, I got the kratom, but that's, you know, I'm working on it. It says, when I was 22, I passed a kidney stone. That's when I found out that I'm in the less than 1% of people that are almost immune to opioids. Oh my God, that is horrible. Doctor, I couldn't get high if I wanted to. That's tough, man. That is tough. 169 said benzos are Schedule 3 drugs. There are limits to how many refills you can get. Yep. Hey, shout out to Captain Gooby. Welcome to the party. Got a bachelor's in psych like me. Passed a kidney stone like Nick. Welcome to the party.
I mean, there's part of that in this, you know, when a dude could give you a couple stack or twos, you know, you'd hold up the wall over there in Hoboken for an hour. You know,
I think those days are over. You got to go to fentanyl.
I just don't want to do it.
No, I don't think you should.
Well, I'll overdose, man. I'm sober like 18 months. I would overdose.
You're sober 18 months?
Yep. One of the reasons I don't do cocaine anymore is because they fucking ruined it.
Why?
With the fentanyl.
It used to be this baby laxative.
Yeah, but I'd rather shit than die, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. It got to a point where it was like a Pavlovian response, where we would get some blow, and first line, no matter what, whether it was cut with baby laxative or not, I would have to go take a shit, because my brain knew that, like, oh, there's probably a bunch of baby laxative in here. Let's just, you know, do whatever. And definitely taking a shit better than dying.
I agree with that completely.
I mean, you know, I'd rather get off the toilet and be like, oh, that was hectic, than be like, you know, laying there just like, God, wish I could
going
shit,
blue, yeah.
but I got to go to heaven.
And that, by the way, is a guess.
Yeah.
But that's the hope. But so
anyway,
how's it been 18 months?
It's been good, man. I love it, you know.
How were the first 6 weeks?
That's the toughest part.
Oh, I know. I've been there.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
What did you have to get off of?
Oh, you name it. But
Okay.
yeah, it's been 21 years, but yeah.
But you can drink though?
No. I can do a little blow, I can drink, but other than that, I'm totally sober. Yeah, it's a modified sobriety.
I wasn't sure if he was joking at first. Because there's a lot of people, like, I can, you know, I drink every stream. You know, I haven't done blow in years, but you know, I would have no problem. Like, if somebody was like, "Hey, yeah, hey, sure." Even with the painkillers, I know that I'm in a place where, number one, I don't have a plug, so I wouldn't go out of my way to do it. Like, if somebody came over and was like, "Hey, look what I got," I absolutely would do it. So I wasn't sure if he was joking, but he was being sarcastic. That's tough. That's tough. The idea of having to be sober was always in my mind, which is why I didn't allow myself to go as far as I could have. And, you know, it got a little out of hand at the end, but again, I'll say, I'm the only one of my friends in that drug group that did not ever graduate to, becoming a heroin addict. You know, I tried the powder. I never shot anything up. I tried the powder a few times, but like I said, I was just like, that is not for me. Not for me. Yeah. Captain Gooby says, I've had shockwave therapy for previous stones, but recently passed a 4 millimeter. Anyway, this is a terrible topic. Yeah, moving on.
Your sponsor,
program.
Shepard Smith. That's what I want to know.
Okay, that's funny.
I
but
don't
I'm not gonna
remember him.
comment on it beyond that.
That's fine.
I don't remember him. Somebody fill me in.
No, and no dig to Shepard. I'm a fan of Shepard.
Yeah. No,
But he's just a legend in a lot of circles from a lot of friends of mine from different colleges.
how do you know all this? It's like,
Dude, it's easy. You just be alive and you just pay attention.
Dude, it's easy. You just be alive and you pay attention. When Theo Von is a better pundit than most pundits, because he says you just be alive and pay attention, and he's right. What does that tell you about the state of our country?
well, without commenting on that,
No.
I will say,
But no, sobriety's been cool for me, man.
but it was tough the first 6 weeks. Like, what'd you do?
Yeah, I think what's tough is like having to quit some, you know?
That's absolutely right. You know, one of the, maybe not the hardest parts, and definitely depends on what your drug of choice is, but the ritual, the fact that this is what I do is one of the harder, not the hardest, but one of the harder aspects of coming out of addiction. Is just like, what do I do with my day now? Like I like most of my day when I was sober was thinking about how can I get, what I need. And then I would just be not sober the rest of the time. There was only two modes, looking to get high and being high. And so the notion that like there's days and years that you got to fill and you're not going to be loaded, it's terrifying. Now, of course, on the other side, it's like, well, obviously, you just find stuff that you like to do. But it scrambles your brains. It scrambles your brains. So I'm sure glad you did it, brother. Glad you're here instead of dead or high in the gutter somewhere. I said, shit, me too. Thank you, sir. So we said most pundits are paid by corporations to not be aware. That's exactly how the Sackler family in Purdue got to where they are. Captain Gooby said, my favorite thing to do on cocaine? Why, doing more cocaine. That's the only feeling. That's the only thing that cocaine does to your brain. It just makes you want more cocaine. So I'll always say, like, yeah, coke can definitely be fun. Like, especially if you're around a small group of people that, like, maybe you don't know that well. Like, maybe you went to a wedding and you're in the wedding party, and there's, groomsmen don't know, and some guy, whatever. You don't know them that well. You maybe met before, but you're going out. You want to have some fun. Bring around a little 8-ball, and no harm, no foul. But that is absolutely what it is. Now the entire night is focused around doing more cocaine.
Yeah. Having to not have a beer if you need it, having to not like have something to give me a little bit of respite.
Yes,
from
that's
my
right.
own angst.
Yes.
That's a lot of it.
Did you go off everything?
Yeah. So I didn't have a problem with anything except for cocaine. So if I drink, I could have a drink, I'd be fine. I hated drinking. But I know if I have a drink, the only reason I'm going to have it is so I can go. I'll have 4 sips and then I'll go get some coke.
I'm the same exact, or I was the same exact way. When I wasn't, when I was on probation and I wasn't allowed to smoke, my drinking went through the roof. Like now I'll have, they're gonna have to pay if they want to see what it actually is. But I usually have 1, maybe 1.5 throughout a stream. And I don't typically drink too much outside of that unless I'm, out doing something. But when I couldn't smoke, and I don't even smoke all day, I really only smoke to go to sleep. But just knowing that I couldn't do it, then it had this thing in my brain where like we gotta get into something. And so I started drinking more. I was working in a restaurant at the time, and Coke was readily available. My manager was the dealer for most of that stuff. It got out of control. This is why Coke when you can sugar, caffeine, and nicotine. Because I don't like the feeling of being strung out. I hate the feeling of being on Coke. I just like doing drugs. I don't know what to tell you. I will spend my entire night sitting around sniffing lines of cocaine and being like, oh, I wish I didn't do that, but still do more. Why? Because that's what drug does to your brain. Emma69 said, I remember Bill Cosby asking someone, what's so great about cocaine? The person replied, it intensifies your personality. Bill Cosby replied, yes, but what if you're an asshole? Still applies. Still applies.
Cocaine. And then I'll be
How did you deal with feeling terrible the next day?
on the cocaine?
Yeah.
Oh, poorly, brother.
I got to a point where if I knew that I was going to drink and I knew that I was going to have, I was going to end up doing coke, that I would have to have Xanax with me, because I'm very sensitive to uppers. And so even if I do if I did 2 lines at 8 p.m., I'm not falling asleep before 4 or 5 a.m. It's just, I don't know. Other people could, go the whole night and we kind of stop, and then an hour later they're asleep. It's probably a good thing because I would have done a lot more, but I am not that guy. Yeah, I like the dopey stuff. Exactly. Because I feel like my brain is, like I said, I have anxiety. So my brain is just moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute all of the time. And so the dopey stuff allows me to actually relax. Now, that's a real thing, which is why I now take a prescription as signed by a doctor. But at the time, I was self-medicating, and we all know how that can go very, very poorly.
Begging people for Gatorade over text message.
Yeah.
It was horrible, dude. Yeah, and this was some of this. They didn't have that.
It's a high cost drug.
Oh yeah.
And not just on the front end, on the back end.
Yeah, the next day was horrible.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. It's not just on the front end because it's expensive. It's an expensive drug. But like I just said, okay, now I have to make sure I've got weed. Now I got to make sure that I've got Xanax. Now I got to make sure that I'm well hydrated. I would always make sure that, because you can't eat when you're on cocaine, but I would get hungry. I was a small dude. I need to I don't eat a lot, but I'm peckish. I need to eat, snack on something every little while. So I had to make sure that I had a protein shake ready to go, because when I get hungry, there's no food that's getting down. It's going to be hell to be chewing on food and whatever. But if I have my shake, so I was prepared. But it is expensive. That's a whole lot of money. That turns into $300 just to even do the drug. Mind you, if you're going out and actually doing something, there's all that cost too.
The things I'd have to apologize for.
Yeah. What's the freakiest thing you did while on cocaine?
Oh, dude, I'll tell you some. Well, the weirdest thing is I would
Here we go.
look for escorts on the internet, right?
Yeah, well,
and
classic cocaine move there.
Yeah, dude.
Hunter Biden has plowed this furrow before.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Others have been where you were.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, I think Hunter even was my plug on some of this. And so but then they would come to my residence. I would be so scared and paranoid. I would take the money and hand it out the door because I didn't want to not pay for the,
service.
They drove over,
right?
So yeah, I would pay them, and then I would just be grateful that they weren't there.
So you
I know that so well. Just like that moment when you're away, especially if you're doing it with people who maybe are not your favorite, and then you can just be away from that, because of course it makes you talk. And like M69 saying here, Bill was right. Bill Cosby was right about that. If you're an asshole, it's going to make you more of an asshole. So Nick asked, why do people with ADHD get the opposite effect from uppers? So I only have a bachelor's degree in psychology, so definitely fact check this. But it simply put, it's about when you have ADHD, it's not that you're like not paying attention. It's the fact that your attention doesn't have duration, and so the upper is not meant to slow you down. It's meant to address the fact that your mind is moving here. And it'll cause you to focus on one thing. And so because your brain already kind of works in that way, like with the ADHD, then you don't get a high from it, and it addresses that part of it. That's a very crude explanation. Definitely don't that's not medical advice or anything like that. I'm seeing that since my husband once got high and ate an entire box of jujubes, gummy tape. Yes, jujubes. His friends said at least shut him up. He couldn't talk. Yeah, but the other thing is that like sweet things are good, but the act of chewing Specifically, definitely, it's not as bad as when you're on acid or well, yeah, I'll say acid. It's not as bad as when you're on acid because the time dilation. Like you take a little bite of something and you chew it 3 times, but in your mind, it's like, how long have I been chewing this? I feel like I've been chewing this for 7 years. And then you're thinking about that. And so by the time you can even get something down your throat, it's like, it's a mind fuck. So it's weird. But it's the chewing itself. So there's a lot of things that people, I know that this stuff hits me very differently because I don't like drinking as much when I'm already doing coke. I'd rather be drunk and then do the coke because then hurts my tummy. A lot of people like eating a certain thing. A lot of people like going out and doing it. I would rather hang out at somebody's house and, just 3 or 4 of us. That's just me. That is just me.
Wouldn't stiff the hooker, but then you wouldn't stiff the hooker.
Yeah. Well,
that's what they're talking about. Okay, let's back that up.
Get out the door. Yeah, I think Hunter even was my plug on some of this, and so he, but then they would come to my residence. I would be so scared and paranoid. I would take the money and hand it out the door because I didn't want to not pay for the, the
service.
They drove over,
right?
So yeah, I would pay them, and then I would just be grateful that they weren't there.
So you
I thought he was talking about like a DoorDash thing or something, but they're still on the hookers. Okay.
You wouldn't stiff the hooker, but then you wouldn't stiff the hooker.
Yeah. Well played, brother.
Good one.
I think, I just felt bad.
You must have been their favorite account.
Well, then sometimes, dude, I had to talk to a lady who speaks another language. That's crazy. Because then you're playing charades. You're fucking high on cocaine.
You were ordering the human trafficking ones?
I wouldn't say that, dude.
Okay.
These people were off the interstate. I would say that.
Off the interstate.
Yeah, they.
Speaking of off the interstate, those of you who know. Those of you who don't, you better find out. Our running poll is: which one would you rather be, a lot lizard or a rat king? 73% of you said a rat king. What is a rat king? That is Theo Bond, the rat king, and obviously came from like in New York where there'd be a bunch of rats and they're in a small space and they're going climbing all of each other and their tails get tied together or whatever. A lot lizard, however, is a hooler who waits around truck stops to do her thing. So the 27% of you, I'm just going to hope that you didn't know what you were saying.
They weren't like,
what do they call them? Lot lizards?
No, this was. Yeah,
Can I get a 1 for perfect timing in the chat? I had no idea that was coming. Give me a 1 in the chat to say how amazing my timing is. Thank you.
I think these were decent ladies who were
totally
trying to make a dollar. Anyway, this didn't end well, but but yeah, that was kind of the toughest part because I was just looking for some kind of connection.
Of course.
And
that's a real thing what you just said.
Oh,
yep. That's a very real thing. Just looking for a connection. The isolation, regardless of the drug, the isolation that it causes is unbearable. And if you're lucky, you have a crew of people that you hang out with. But most of the time, what's going to happen is, let's say I have a group of friends that I regularly hang out with, 10 people. Let's say there's 3 of us who are into doing drugs. So we're all hanging out all the time. But then the 7 people are, drinking, having their thing. And then every once in a while, 3 of us go over here. And then we come back and we act a little bit different. And we're trying to hide it as if they don't already know from the moment we walked away. And it's just sad. I remember the feeling of trying, like wasting, like being frustrated at at other people because I couldn't enjoy my high enough because I felt like I had to pretend that I wasn't high. Crazy.
Get that.
I didn't know how to get it
because it's isolating. Drugs and alcohol are isolating. You're really about yourself when you're doing them. Part of you wants to reach out and connect with someone else. I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I like cocaine because I needed to control how I felt immediately. That's one reason I didn't like alcohol
That is one reason I preferred the blues that we saw over the spongy ones, because I wasn't doing the whole microwave and thing, but I would eat it. But if you digest it, then it takes longer to get into your blood system. Whereas if you rail it, it's it's not as immediate as cocaine, but it is 10 minutes and you are falling into the couch.
Because I was just such a control person that I needed to control how I felt immediately. So cocaine, I could do it immediately. The feeling would be there immediately.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason that I liked it.
That's a reason why I think when I was drinking, I was drinking a lot because I couldn't smoke. That's also an aspect. But near the end of when I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with this. I've been up, working in a restaurant. So I go to work at 4, 6 o'clock or whatever, get off at somewhere between 10 and 1, and then be doing blow until 9, 10, 11 o'clock the next morning, then try to get in some sleep before the next shift, all that kind of stuff. It got to the point where I was just like, I'm not having fun anymore. I don't want to do this. And I forget where I was going with this. What did he just say?
The feeling would be there immediately.
Oh, the immediate feeling. And so it got to the point where I was like, look, if you have it on you right now, I'll do it. But if you don't have it on you right now, like you can hand it to me, I'm not looking to get into this waiting game where, okay, I'll hit this guy up and he's going to hit up his plug, and then the plug's got to drive to here, and then he's going to get it to me, and then I'll get it to you. And the whole time I'm like, okay, where is he? Yo, did your guy hit you up? You're like, yo, where you at? All that stuff, and waiting for hours and hours and hours, just wasting time, hoping for this drug to come. And then you do the drug and nothing has gotten done except destroying your mind and body. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so that's one reason that I liked it.
But you never
Shout out to Zippy and Rhett heading out. Thank you for stopping by.
ever got into Xanax or alcohol or anything to help you come down?
No, I wish I had. I didn't know you could do that.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's legal, but you can.
So I was doing
You're doing it wrong.
I was just
You had the wrong kind of cocaine addiction.
And most of the shit I was doing, I think it was Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah.
This shit had, I remember doing an 8-ball of matte finish, So I'm like, this isn't legitimate, some semi-gloss. I'm like, this is for fucking shutters. This is outdoor. I've done some very questionable cocaine, so.
Yeah, that was one of the worst parts, the waiting game. That was one of the worst parts, even with the painkillers near the end. That was exactly my thing. I was like, if you have it, I'm down. I will give you the money, but I'm not waiting. And I'm not being, I'm not being bratty about that. I'm just saying I mentally can't handle the waiting game because my anxiety goes through the roof the whole time. I can't do it. M169 said, my husband quit for the same reasons. He didn't like that feeling of nothing matters more than this. He got sick of the cycle. He was living a rock star type of life for a bit. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny how, there's an aspect of grass is always greener on the other side, even with this, because when you come out of this kind of life, then, okay, now you have to actually deal with real life. Now there's more things in your consciousness than just, am I high or how am I getting high? And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm worried about the channel. I'm worried about, Discord. I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about the dog. I'm worried about my house. I'm worried about, making rent, all of this kind of stuff. I took out mad money on my credit card, not giving a care in the world. Cash, what do they call it? I don't even remember what they call it, but just like a cash withdrawal off your credit card when my bank account was empty, but I still had some room. I wasn't maxed out yet. So taking cash off of my credit card to pay for drugs. I would never think to do that today. But in the same token, there's a little bit of nostalgia to the simplicity of that life. Like, there was no wondering, aside from the waiting game, there was no wondering about, am I good enough? Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? Should I try that? Should I be, doing a stream about this? Should I be building that? Nope. It was just like, well, if I'm not high, I need to get high. If I'm high, whatever. There's a simplicity to that that makes it very, very hard for people to get past that.
What was it like for you getting off of it?
I mean, it was awful. It was awful.
No
It
shit.
was awful. It was absolutely awful. But I'm so grateful that I did. I'm thankful my brother.
Oh, the an actual rock star lifestyle. Gotcha. Yeah. So like I said, I was more in the typical wait staff type of routine, if you will. Hey, shout out to Rabbi Glickman in the building. Welcome to the party. So typically cash withdrawals on a credit card are limited to somewhere around $50 to $200 for a limit. Yeah, and I mean, hey, as expensive as drugs are, then $200 goes a long way.
Brother and I both did, actually.
Wow, so it's in your family? It's a genetic. It's in my family.
We're Swedish, yeah.
Oh, y'all are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, the farther north you go on the globe, the higher percentage of people have drinking problems. I mean,
Is that true? Somebody fact check that for me.
I think pretty well established fact.
Look at Santa, dude works one fucking day a year.
I mean, the Eskimos. No, I'm serious. And
oh yeah.
A lot of ancestors from Northern Europe. So yeah, alcoholism is a big thing, and I needed to get off it, and I had all these children and a job on TV, and it's just not compatible with a productive, happy life at all. And I quit, and the first few months were like shocking. I had no help at all.
Really?
Yeah, I did it at home alone.
Were you not willing to try and have help? Like, were you that kind of were you
well, I had a public job.
Oh,
I was an anchor on CNN, and so I just
yeah. I mean, absolutely, I'm 69. But the notion of you have a public job, so now if you're going to go into some type of treatment, that's a story. People are going to know, and people are going to. And it's one thing for people to know that, hey, I used to do this thing, but while you're going through it, that is, I don't blame him at all for just being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna white knuckle it.
Thought I don't want to get into the whole like I'm going to rehab or whatever. I just don't want to get involved with that. And it was fine, worked great, and I've never, gone back, and I never would for anything. However, I didn't realize that I knew very little about it. This was kind of before I was using the internet. I just didn't know that much about addiction at all.
Yeah.
Nobody did. Really, nobody did. Unless you were an addict, there was no way to understand what this mentality, what this lifestyle was like. And that's why it was so easy to demonize people who were addicts. And I think especially alcohol, because you're not like other drugs, you have to be you have to be around certain people to even know where to get it or for it to be around. But alcohol is everywhere. So I think it's much easier to fall into addiction without having any idea of what you're getting yourself into with alcohol than any other drug. That has to be the case. Next, if you're going to relapse, just come visit me. I'll give you something and save you the money. Hey, that's an invitation. Let's go. He said, just kidding. Kind of anyway, because I know what I get is real, so you wouldn't know what you are taking. That's true. That's true. And that's the thing. Like if you lived around here and you were like, hey, you want a little extra? I'd be like, yeah, sure. I would pay you for it. And I'd be like, yeah, sure. But that's because I know that number one, you're not going to be involved in like trying to get a bigger load and then offload on me. You have this certain prescription every month, and there's a little bit extra, and that is something that just like with the drinking. Even though I had a problem with drinking at times, even though I had a problem with smoking weed at times, I am not a type of person who needs to be sober in order to not be an active addiction. But a lot of people aren't. It's a dichotomy for a lot of people. Like for both of them, I keep doing that. I usually always point because like there's nothing over here. There's nothing over here. The screen's right there, but I'm usually good at pointing. Anyway, both of them seem to be the kind of person who, and again, like that's why I wasn't sure if Tucker was joking. We just said, oh no, I'll do a little bit of drinking and a little bit of blow, but I can't do anything else. Like I know people who have had drug problems in the past who do that or will do that, and I am one of them. So I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. And like I've said before, it was mainly about the money. I just, if I was a rich kid, I would be dead. I would be dead. because I would just use all the money I could. The only reason I really was like, okay, I got to stop, is because I wasn't able to pay for normal things. Ozzy Osbourne once said alcohol is the worst because it's so readily available and socially acceptable to consume. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about things like if you have a food addiction. That's even worse, in my opinion, because at least you can stay away from alcohol entirely. You can't stay away from food entirely. You're gonna die. So that's wild. That's good. Yeah, it's not all or nothing. It's and I've told you guys this before, but you know, the whole thing about the Saw movie, where really quick, if you remember in the last scene, there's the original Saw movie, the two guys in the room and their ankles are shackled, and there's a doctor and then some other photographer who's not as smart, and the doctor's figuring out like, oh, what's going on, and the other guy is talking about Jigsaw to the doctor, saying, it sounds like you like this guy, that you appreciate him and you respect him, or something along those lines. And the doctor said, when you are going to defeat a disease, you have to be aware of what that disease can do. Otherwise, you're not going to defeat it. And so for whatever reason, I saw that movie when I was a kid. For whatever reason, that scene popped into my head the first time I was doing any kind of hard drugs, and it stuck with me. And I was like, okay, I know that I'm dealing with a monster here, and I think I can handle it. Obviously, it got, like I said, it got a little out of hand at the end there, but then I was able to come off, and now I can drink normally. I can do other stuff normally, but it's about understanding the opponent, just understanding what you're dealing with, and not everybody does. And again, when going back to alcohol, you may not have that singular point in time where it's like, okay, we're crossing into, I've never done drugs and now I'm doing hard drugs. It's not the same thing when your 21st birthday or your 16th birthday, let's be honest, and you have a drink and you get a little drunk and you throw up a little bit, but everybody else is doing it and it's socially, all that kind of stuff. It's not the same. It is not the same.
Kind of before I was using the internet, I just didn't know that much about addiction at all.
Yeah.
And I quit, and all of a sudden I had these withdrawal symptoms that were like shocking. My
ETs.
hands are shaking. I feel like I'm going to freak out all the time. Super anxious, super anxious. Sweating, heart palpitations. I was like, what is this? And I asked somebody, I didn't tell many people. I asked.
Withdrawal.
Somebody's like, oh, you're withdrawing from alcohol. And if you start to hallucinate, that means you have the DTs, the delirium tremens, and you need to go to the hospital because you could die. I was like, what? I never got that, thank heaven. But anyway, yeah, it was awful. But then, within like, I don't know, 6 months, I felt great.
It's a long 6 months. Now, in the grand scheme of your life, obviously, it's not that long. But there's a reason people stay stuck in active addiction, because that 6 months is going to be the longest 6 months of your goddamn life.
I started smoking 2 cigarettes at once. I mean, my nicotine problem got a little more intense. But I felt wonderful, and I felt great ever since.
Wow. Yeah. And did you ever go to meetings? Did you ever get into 12-step or no?
Not one time. But I love it.
Based.
I just had dinner last night with Bobby Kennedy, who's been in 12-step program. Russell Brand, same thing, another friend of mine.
I almost went to a meeting at Bobby's house on Tuesday.
Okay. Then what a wonderful man he is.
Bobby's a neat guy, isn't he?
He is. He's a very deep person, and he's learned the right things, and people like that make me very pro 12-step. Because like they're just like,
I wasn't aware that he had drug issues, just because I don't know a lot about RFK Jr. Does anybody have like a TLDR on what his addiction was like?
I'm not in control of my life, and they're not, because nobody is. Everyone lies about it. Oh, I've got it under control. No, you don't.
Oh.
You have no freaking idea what you're doing. You can't extend your life by a single day. You're lying to yourself and those around you. Just admit you have no clue. You're doing the best you can. You're a totally screwed up, kind of embarrassing person.
I think both of those things could be true at the same time. I feel like I've got a good handle on all of this. Yes, I'm drinking my kratom, but I'm cutting down on that. I have my nicotine. I'm trying to cut down on that. I have my alcohol. I don't feel like I need to cut down on that because I don't really drink that often. Especially if I like when I was in active addiction with alcohol, I was drinking 1.5 bottles of red wine every single day, work or not. I have no desire to do that. I have no desire to do that. If I'm not sitting here, this is not just like I didn't just pour this out of the can. This is cut with something else to make it less. There's one time where you guys wouldn't have noticed. Maybe you did, but there was one time where I had like 3, and I was like, I was good on stream, but paying a lot of attention to all the different things going on. I was like, I don't know if I want to be like this. So I started cutting it with seltzer. So I got like a little spritzer here, and so I'm good. I'm doing the best I can, but I don't feel like I'm necessarily some screwed up, embarrassing person. Maybe you disagree, but that's the delusion. Well, okay, I got that much. But I mean, like, which drugs for how long? And did he go to this? That's what I meant.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And be liberated. And so
got me.
I strongly believe in that because it's true.
It is the truth. I know. And the rest of it is such a sled we pull.
And it's fake.
And
it's ridiculous. As I always say to my kids, everybody knows who you really are. Everybody already knows what your bad qualities are, and they love you anyway. So don't even try and hide them. I mean, I'm sure people who are like alcoholic or bad temper or secretly gay or whatever. And they're like, oh, no one knows. No one knows. It's like everybody knows.
That's exactly what I was talking about with a group of 10 friends, and 3 of you every 10 minutes are going off to the bathroom together. It's like, bro, you ain't hiding shit from anybody. Come on. So 14 years and used the 12-step. Okay, so I just meant it was alcohol, but you said drugs. So okay, he was an alcoholic for 14 years. Thank you.
Are you kidding? And again, they love you anyway, so you don't need to hide it. Just be who you are. And when you are, I mean, you are so liberated. It's this massive weight coming off you. It's like, yeah, kind of fucked up, but more than some, less than others, but trying. And people are like, that's great.
Yeah.
People are way less judgy than you think they are.
Right.
People want other people to do well. It's a general thing, like proximity matters, because if you're not doing well, then you're more likely to want the people around you to not do well so that you can feel better about yourself. But in general, people typically are rooting for other people.
There's some inverse of it, where it's like we think someone's so, but then if we look at the way we look at people, we might have some jokes about it, stuff, but most of the time you have empathy.
Exactly. At dinner 2 nights ago, I'm sitting next to this woman, and she said something about, it's a long story, but basically it was about a woman gaining weight. And I said to her, I've never been in a group of just men on a hunting trip or where it's just men.
Yeah.
Where someone's like, she had a fat ass. It's like men have the widest strike zone.
You've never been around a group of men and they were talking about a fat ass? Now, I'm not necessarily engaged in locker room talk, like, give me the details, viscous innards. I'm not necessarily that kind of guy. But, like, you guys know. I'm deciding if I want to say what I want to say. But you guys know, some of you guys, especially the disciples here, you definitely know that I've been, you know what I mean? So that maybe let's see if he makes a larger point.
I've never been in a group of just men on a hunting trip or where it's just men.
Yeah.
Where someone's like, she had a fat ass. It's like men have the widest strike zone imaginable. Men like women, heterosexual men like women. Mm-hmm. They don't judge their appearance very harshly at all.
Okay. So, okay. Let's see where it goes.
They kind of tend to like all sorts of women.
That's true.
And if you knew how non-judgmental men were about women's appearances, you would relax. But of course, you don't care what men think about your appearance. You only care what other women think about your appearance, and they're very judgy.
That's true in the sense that men will settle for that which is less than ideal. That doesn't mean that we don't care about your appearance. That just means we understand, all right, I mean, all right, she got a little bit of belly, she got a little bit of love handle, she got a little bit of cellulite. This is what it is. That's 2 very different things than just, I don't care.
But it's the same principle. It's like we are less judged than we think we are, you know?
Yeah. It's funny, but
This is what happens when you're out of the dating market. That is the opposite of what I would say, is that men are judged way harsher than they need to be. But that's a different conversation.
but it's not the nature of us to think that we are.
Did you tell people when you quit using cocaine?
Yeah, I did, I think.
I think.
Let me think. Yeah. Yeah. I did. I told them. Well, I got into meetings. It was been in my family, you know, my family, a lot of my family, it's in my family. So
The cocaine thing.
the drug, just alcohol,
Addiction in general.
childhood.
Same here. Like my dad's dad died at 49 because he was an alcoholic. He smoked a lot of cigarettes, and I remember on my dad's in his 70s now, but I remember the night before his 49th birthday, he was in a weird headspace just because I mean, I think it makes sense, like if my dad died at 49 and now I'm a dad and I'm about to turn 49, like is there some kind of pattern that's going to happen, especially religious people who, see things that aren't there. But it was rough on him, and I can definitely see how that would fuck with you, And let's 69 said that is true to a point. Men are less judgmental than women. It doesn't mean they don't have standards. Exactly. I think that's what his point was in general, but I think that it's undercut by how much the judgment of men, specifically in the context of dating, has changed since he was, on the dating market.
Issues, really. A lot of it is a lot of my stuff comes from really intimacy disorders.
Yeah.
Like connectivity disorders. But then whenever anything triggers one of those connectivity disorders, then a lot of times it would lead me to doing drugs.
Wow. That's again, that's another thing that I love about Theo is that he's, I remember when he first, because I was into his comedy like way back in the day. I remember when he was on Road Rules, and so I've known about him for a long time. I've followed him for a long time, and he wasn't always this guy. Like he always had this unique perspective on things, but he's done a lot of work on himself. He's done a lot of contemplative work, and it's refreshing to see somebody who is, not like, oh, bro, alpha, but like, a dude's dude. To be able to talk about, intimacy disorders, and that's why I would do this. And it's refreshing to see him put that out there, and other people be able to say like, oh, okay, I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that. Like that's man shit. We don't talk about that. I mean, he's just open about it, and people are accepting. People are empathetic. Exactly what Tucker was talking about.
Yeah. So, I just love it. What I love about it is now I get to see, man, I saw a dude yesterday who just got a 6-month chip, and the guy, man, to see somebody whose life has changed, you get to witness.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Miracles.
I totally agree.
I had a friend call me this morning, right? And we've been friends for years, and we kind of both know that we have some of the same problems. And it was like the first time he opened up to me, man. And we're both sitting there just kind of crying on the phone. It was just because when he opened up, it just made me feel like I was I don't know. I just understood him. And it was like,
see, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't know. It was just so important.
Well, that's what intimacy is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought that we misread intimacy. We think it's when someone tells the truth about other people. It's very easy to tell the truth about other people. It's only when someone tells the truth about himself. It's only when you admit who you really are to someone else that you have intimacy. That's the measure.
It's only when you admit to someone else who you really are that you have intimacy. That is a bar.
Of intimacy. If you're willing to tell someone who you really are, you are intimate with that person, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally the key. So if you want to know how many truly close relationships do I have, that's how you know. How many people am I willing to admit what a schmuck I actually am to?
Yeah.
That's the number. And
Well, I got over 2,000 of you who I am willing to show you exactly how much of a schmuck I really am. I was a drug addict, voted for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Trump in 2020. I mean, the list goes on. The list goes on. What are you guys doing listening to me?
What I love about 12-step, I've never actually been to 12-step. I've only heard about it. Actually, I was at Russell Brand's house
And he
this
had a
summer,
meeting?
and he had a meeting. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
hilarious
So you got to go to
people.
one. Was it?
I didn't stay for it. I had to leave, but they were.
Come on.
One of the guys
guys.
was smoking, which I love, and just old school. And they were anyway. But
Oh, I thought
I
he was
love the
talking about
12-step thing because
smoking.
you just like it, as with Christianity, which I also like. You admit right away that you are
Powerless.
Yeah, exactly. You're not.
But you're not powerless. If you were powerless, then there wouldn't be much of a reason to go to a meeting. All right, we gonna talk about God? Let's do it.
In control.
Your life's unmanageable. That's a nice word that they use a lot because it's like sometimes people are like, man, I'm not powerless. But I'll be like, things are unmanageable for me. The way that they phrased everything, it was just really articulate. But anyway, man, well, congrats on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt them, but absolutely, I'm 169. It's true. It's scary as hell, but worth it when you find someone that says, "I see all that. I see all that, and I love you anyway." If you've never had, especially in a, it's great in a, like a familial context when your friends see it, but in a romantic context, at least as a man, where for women you're getting sexual / romantic shit coming at you from the time before it's even probably appropriate. But and I'm not trying to make a comparison, just speaking from my own experiences, that I see a lot of men who have never had this in a romantic type of setting, and that really skews their view on what life is, what women are, who people are, who they are. I think being in love with somebody mutually is something that can teach you so much, again, about yourself and about other people. And it's something that you can really aspire to at any point, like regardless of what's going on in your life. That's always something that you can I don't know. I don't have the best words for it right now, but it's so powerful. And there's so many of us out here just like, yo, can we just like have like somebody who is down with the get down? Like, they're like, no, is what it is, right? Like I said, our buddies thought it was funny to watch us do 2 shots and someone else's 1. Like doing 3 shots. It would still be drinking when they were vomiting. We were bad. Yep. There was so I remember, was it the first place? Yeah. So it was the first place I moved into that was my place. I had moved. I told you I was the first place I lived out of my parents' house. Well, the first place I lived was in the dorm on campus. But my junior year, I moved off campus and I went into this frat house where I wasn't in the frat, but it was off campus. So I was able to get in there. And like I said, I got the master bedroom because I'm a baller like that. And then I moved into a different place with one other person. Then after that, I had moved into an apartment by myself. And I remember I was with my friend who, name is Nick. Not this Nick, but if you were here for the Akon reunion stream, it was him. And I just gotten the keys. We drive over. I remember I was like, yo, where's the bedroom? We go into the bedroom. There's no furniture. There's no anything. We just got the keys. It's not like, okay, everything's set. I had brought in my backpack, just like, the basic stuff that I'm going to drop off. No boxes, no anything. My, what we would call a DDS, a dome delivery system. It was a mirror. It was in the frat house. They had 4 of them that were on the wall that were meant to look like a window, but they were mirrors. Those mirrors didn't last long. We took them off the wall and they were perfect surfaces. and you want, something glass so that you can chop it up, you can see it. It's not and whatever. And I still have 2 of the DDSs, but first apartment where it's just mine. And I'm like, oh, bro, we got to christen it. The first thing we do, go into the bedroom, crush up a pill, snort it. And it's just, I don't know. It's just sad that was the important thing at that moment. I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's my wish for you and the other single guys that you find that one day. People can be happy without it, but hey, why wouldn't I want that for somebody else? Thank you, and the single ladies as well too. Of course. So I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's good.
I think it's interesting, and it gives me a better scope to handle my own life, and it definitely gives me more opportunity to look at other people when I'm able to.
Absolutely.
Do you find yourself less judgmental? And what about all the guys you used to do cocaine with? Do you still talk to
I
them?
did it by myself.
Good. That's a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
The fist bump. I was the same kind of person. Like I said, most people are drinking and doing both simultaneously, but because I would get sick, like in general, I'm pretty sensitive to alcohol, so I'll get sick anyway. And then I'm also just sensitive to, like, I've never done Molly without or ecstasy without puking. Rarely am I going to do Coke without puking, and usually it's not like a hungover drinking kind of thing where it's the whole thing. It's usually just like, wait, I think that's here. Be right back. Okay, we're good. Let's party. Like literally like that. But because of that, then I wasn't drinking a lot, and I wasn't on the same level in terms of being as chatty and willing to be like, oh yeah, let's do this business idea. So I did a lot of the cocaine that I did. I was by myself, and I honestly kind of prefer it. But I like doing a lot of stuff by myself. Like I like tripping by myself. Smoking is here or there. Obviously, I love smoking by myself because I do it every night. But smoking with a buddy is fun too. But I don't know. I just like having my things the way that I want them, and then just enjoying it with a little extra. I love the fist bump here.
I did it by myself.
Good. That's a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
Chopping outlines at home.
Yeah. I'd change outfits and come back in and be a different guy, dude. Yeah. I'm like, hey, don't do it. This is for me. Just yelling at the other me.
Oh my
You literally
God.
do it alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Brother. I would do it alone, and I'd go hide it somewhere. I'd be like, I'm going to bed and not doing it anymore. And then I would fucking get up and go find it, and I would do more. And
it does affect your sleep patterns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I've heard that. Yeah.
One thing about cocaine is it'll keep you up.
My sleep patterns was me praying, dude, that somebody would fucking pour Gatorade down my chimney.
That reminds me of a story. It wasn't the first time. It's the first time I did it. I was always like, I don't want to do cocaine because I feel like if later in life something happens, and I've never done cocaine, then my brain isn't going to be like, okay, well, let's fix this with cocaine. But then there was a girl that was staying over that wanted to do cocaine. I was like, hey, you guys got any coke? And then turns out later in life, I was going through some shit, and it turned out I was like, hey, coke's right there. So I was right all along. I should have just listened to myself, but the power of the pussy. Anyway, so one time after that, where I was still living in the frat house, me and my friend we wanted to do something, and we were going through the waiting game, and we had to hit up the dude who was a hit up the dude. It was 9 a.m. It was 9 a.m. by the time we got our bag. That should tell you enough right there why I was not willing to entertain the waiting game anymore. But 9 a.m. Then, after we've already done some, my friend's like, oh, actually, I got to leave. Turns out that the roommate who I was living with, who was supposed to be paying the bills, wasn't. Like, he wasn't spending the money on drugs. He just was keeping he had the money in his room. He just never paid the bills. So the power goes out. Luckily, it was like May, so I didn't need like the AC or the heating. But I just got coke. Now I'm sitting by myself. I have nothing to do. I have nothing to stimulate me. And I can't not do the coke. I've already started. That was one of the worst days of my life. The same thing he's talking about here. Just sitting, just praying. You're just in bed. You're like, oh my God. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes and go to sleep. And it just for hours and hours and hours. Just nothing to do but think about how much I don't want to feel like this. And then do another line. Crazy. Crazy. Drugs are drugs.
Praying, dude.
Yep.
That somebody would fucking pour Gatorade down my chimney. I was just
see that is why I needed to be prepared. I would make sure I had everything I need. I make sure I had my make sure I have weed, make sure I have Xanax, make sure I have the protein shakes, make sure that I picked out the movies that I want to watch, so I don't spend half an hour being like, oh, maybe I'll watch this on Netflix. Maybe I'll pick out what I'm watching beforehand. All of that stuff, it had to be on point because of situations like the one I just told you where at 9 a.m. like it was traumatizing. It was traumatizing. It said you ain't lying and make us stupid or even stupider than normal.
Of course.
So he says the outside darkness matched the inside. Well said. Well said.
I want Gatorade.
Why Gatorade?
Just because it's like has electrolytes in it. I would be so dehydrated.
So you're not much of a planner.
No.
You didn't go to Costco ahead of time and just get a pallet of it for home.
That would be me.
No, bro.
That
Did
was
you have some pretty crazy nights or no?
I had a few.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell him he's not gonna get into him.
Yep.
He's not gonna get into him. Do you think he's gonna get into him? Let's see if he's gonna get into the stories.
You going crazy?
The good news is that
Nope.
I mean, it was a different. I'm 54, so
Right, so it was a different
in
time.
the world that I started working in 91. Everyone went to lunch every day. And I was a writer at a magazine, and everyone went to lunch for an hour and a half every day.
To lunch,
Period. I mean, it was a different economy. This was before the corporations took over everything and implanted chips on your phone to listen to your conversation, track your whereabouts. And before we became East Germany, they didn't really know where you were. And it was just a civilized place, and you could just have lunch. And if you drank, it was totally within bounds to have a couple drinks at lunch, and smoke at lunch, and then that could keep going. I'm not saying it was great for productivity, but it was a better country. That's just a fact.
It was, yeah, it was.
Hey, I mean, I wasn't connecting those dots, but Tucker says that when we're in a world where you can drink and smoke and do blow at lunch, that we lived in a better time. Maybe we should bring it back. Nah, probably not.
Some fun.
And so I would just say the great blessing in my life is it definitely erased my memory of a number of years. So I don't have a lot of guilt simply because I don't really remember what I was like, but I don't think very appealing.
Yeah.
Not a great drunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's
when
fair.
you drink, like, even if you're not setting out to say use cocaine, you can wind up doing that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's what Theo was saying, is that it's not even that he will have the intention to do any drugs, but a couple sips of alcohol and it just triggers something in your brain where it's like, okay, this is what we do next. So you wake up in the morning, you go take a piss. Like, it's just what you do. And you do that for long enough and that becomes your life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If somebody's got some cocaine, you're gonna stay around them until they don't have it anymore, until you have it.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yup. The amount, the number of, what are they getting into here? The number of people that I spent time pretending to like their presence simply to get drugs. I could have written a book. I could have written a book. Let's see what he's got here for us.
Oh yeah, that's me right there. I did one time. I was doing
we are
some
watching
cocaine at the
this.
house and people like, I was like a big vest guy for about 11 months and
Vest with nothing underneath.
yeah, just
Giovan's blender moment. Let's see what we got. 5 years ago? Yep. Let's see.
So like
yeah.
when you were partying,
Mhm.
what was your thing?
Just doing cocaine by
Cocaine.
myself at the house, really.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
See, he said it at the house by himself. My kind of guy.
It was all cocaine. Yeah.
Dude, and cocaine. Oh, go back to that vest story, man. So here's what happened. So I would get fucked up and put these vests on, put on
Triggered.
sunglasses, and no like Buffalo Bill shit, but at least partying by myself, you know. And I was making like a nice smoothie, and I'm fucking coked up. I'm
Smoothie because you can't eat shit.
partying, you know. I'm living high
Look at his nose.
on the hog. Got
Word.
these 2 vests on, maybe, right? And I thought I heard something outside, right? Which is kind of weird to even think of when you have a blender going, right? So I leave out of my apartment to go in the hallway, lock myself out with the blender going. 2:30 in the morning, coked up out of my brain, right? Now I have to go to my landlord, dude, who lives right down the hall,
Oh no.
and tell him like, hey, man.
2:30 in the morning. I
I'm
got locked out. And the
locked
blender's
out.
on,
The
son.
blender's going.
Oh my god, he must have hated you.
Oh, the blender shorts out and smoke happens. The fire alarm starts going off in the building right as I'm at his door knocking, right?
Oh my god.
So now he's pissed and he's like, what's going on? And I didn't know what to say. I told him that I
Yeah, oh my God, they animated. If you know, you know.
was throwing a late Christmas party, dude. It was fucking end of January.
How old were you at the time?
Huh? Oh, this is 2.5 years ago. So I was 30.
I thought he was going to say this was 2 weeks ago.
I was 35. Bro, so he comes back to my apartment, right? He's fucking pissed. He unlocks the door. There's nobody in there.
Oh my god.
I'm like, man, but it was fun.
How long did you live there for?
I still live there.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've patched. I mean, we've kind of, you know, like I've caught him doing some things. So I think we're all even.
Beautiful. All right, so that's what they're talking about. Let's run this back and see what he's got to say.
On them until they don't have it anymore, until you have it.
I've heard that. Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, that's me right there. I did one time. I was doing some cocaine at the house, and
So, guys, remember, we are absolutely not going to make it through this entire thing. And I think I'm going to do a part 2 as a members only. You'll still be able to watch. You won't be able to comment if you catch it live. If you don't catch it live, you're shit out of luck. So if you would like to keep the party rolling, you know how to do it.
people like I was like a big vest guy for about 11 months, and
Vest with nothing underneath.
yeah, just fucking.
That's kind of like
at
the
night.
Chippendales thing.
Some shades,
Yeah.
dude, just chilling in my apartment.
Did you ever
dude.
dance?
Huh?
You ever-
No, I wouldn't dance. I'd make a smoothie, but which is kind of like dancing, but just
But
like a
literally
little meal.
nothing underneath.
It's kind of like dancing, but just with ingredients. Oh my God, Theo, Vaughn.
Just the vest.
Yeah, no, just a vest. Yeah, because this was in California too. The wet, it was weather permitting.
Yeah, it's totally normal. People. I mean, I remember I grew up in
Vest on.
California, and I'd often wear a vest, a silk vest, kind of against my nipples. I liked it.
dude. Remember
Your instinct was correct, sir.
when Silk came out and it was like,
Yeah.
remember Silk shirts?
Oh yeah.
They were so bad.
I'm not gonna wear.
Remember them?
Yeah, I never wore a silk shirt in my whole life.
You're lying.
No,
Really?
I swear,
Yeah.
never. I never fell for that.
Good for you, actually.
You
I
fell-
fell for it.
I
thought
never
it was-
bought anything from Fila.
Oh yeah.
And I never
I don't trust you if you've never bought anything from Fila. Just saying.
did. I never had anything that was velour. I mean, there are whole epochs
Yeah.
in fashion history that I just missed. I just totally ignored it.
Is that how you say it? I just thought it was epoch. Because of the epoch times, the epoch times, epoch? I don't know off the tongue. Is it, do you say epoch or epoch?
I've been wearing the same freaking clothes since 1984.
Oh my goodness. Look at that side by side. Men really do age like wine. He looks like a goofy, I mean, obviously the bow tie doesn't help, but goofy little chubby face. And I'm 54 years old. That's an established man right there.
And I mean it.
Wow. I
Yeah.
believe that, dude.
If you just stay exactly the same, like someday this will be super cool
It
for a
could-
moment, and then we'll move on to something else.
Will it though? Probably not, but whatever floats your boat.
We'll go back to vests.
When I was in school, it was good, man. That
It was
was,
good,
a style.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. You seem like you were conceived at like a Johnson and Murphy and something just fucking rolled right out.
I don't
of
know
it.
what that is, but I will take that as a
It's like
compliment.
it's a compliment, man. My best friend Kevin likes that store. and
What's Kevin do?
he does? I don't know. He's looking for a place right now, but
What? Yeah. Okay. So Emma says epoch. Yeah, he wasn't lying. Style hasn't changed. I remember from the 90s. It hasn't changed a bit. Well, he retired the bow tie. I think you should have kept it. I think you should have kept it when when you have a thing like that, especially as a white conservative guy, lean into it. But I mean, I guess he got on his own merit, and he didn't need it.
His wife's he got married, but that's Johnson and Murphy. They're at the airport. He's
They're
a
at the
producer.
airport. I buy almost no clothes at the airport,
Do we have a link in the chat, please?
but I'm not against it.
So let's get into something important then,
Yeah.
right?
All right, guys, we are at 2.5 hours right now. Do we want to keep it riding or not? Let's just see what he's going to get into, and then we will see.
Did you have? I'm just trying to think of where to take this thing.
You say trauma,
No,
trouble, treble hooks,
trouble, trauma, Trump. Those are the fucking.
Okay.
Those are buzzwords.
buzzwords. Yep.
You
You make me nervous. I'm gonna grab another Zan. Do you
put
mind?
one in.
I'm gonna.
God, I almost want to do one, but I just don't know how I'll do with it.
Why don't we wait until we're about to close because things may happen to you that you're not ready for.
Okay.
I would suggest probably not even. If your cocaine is your drug of choice, then maybe any kind of upper is.
But
It gets wild, huh?
it gets wild in a subtle way. It kind of grows on you. It's not like doing cocaine.
Okay.
It's not like firing up the pipe and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
But that's the problem. That's the problem, is that it's going to be close enough that it's like, well, I haven't felt anything even close to this in 18 months. But now, let's get some blow. That's the issue. Tucker, I'm not really behind it. You should not be offering this shit.
Blast off or anything like that. It's a much more subtle, organic. You just all of a sudden you feel good.
Yeah.
Then you feel the power rising from your central nervous system, and then sort of going outward through all the nerve endings down to the tips of your fingers.
That's how I remember how thank you, Nick. I remember how the first time I did acid, that was the feeling of the difference between having done okay, so I'd never done coke, so I guess it must have been Adderall, and the speediness from Adderall, and then there is an aspect to that when you do acid, and you get excited. Your body's like, what is going on here? But I remember that it was so much more of a cleaner experience. Like I didn't feel like I was strung out like I do if I do a blow, or if I even just drank too much coffee. I'm just like, oh, please. Like the jaw thing, that's an obvious one. But my back also, I'll clench my back, and it gets uncomfortable. But with the good acid, and I've done acid a bunch of times since then, and it depends on how it is. But like a shout out to actually, I'm not gonna shout out to somebody who got me these gel tabs. Bro, it was so fucking clean. Like it was so clean. I didn't feel like I was on drugs. I felt sped up, but I didn't feel drugged. I just felt like, oh, this is how the brain is normally supposed to work. And that after that trip, after my first trip, I said, everybody should try this at least once with acid. Everybody should at least understand what your brain can do. Because the drugs don't do anything that your brain can't, like it's not like you're plugging in new software. Whatever happens to you while you're on drugs, your brain already has the capacity to do that. It just needs whatever catalyst. And the notion that you could feel this different outside of the normal scope of how you're seeing things, and that there's actually a scope that's so wide, and that most of us just spend our lives looking through this little hole. It was amazing. It was amazing. But I think we are going to cut it there for now. We didn't even get an hour in, so I think we are going to have a lot of fun with the rest of this this podcast. Make sure you are a member if you would like to see that. It will be open to whoever if you're not a member while it is live, but as soon as the stream is over, if you can't catch it, it is going behind the paywall for my disciples. So if you would like to join, that will also give you access to the after party where we are headed right now in Discord. You can join Discord for free. There is a free channel there where we talk all the time. So if you don't have the money, don't worry about it. Still just join, come be part of the community and get involved with like-minded people and all that stuff. I think we have a lot of fun in there. But if you want to get full access, if you want the members only streams, if you want the after parties, and we're gonna be doing new server contests where you can win different stuff. You could win 3 months, 6 months membership, all that kind of stuff. All that happens in the Discord server. So make sure you join. Hit that join button. It should be right around here somewhere, or I don't know. You know how to do it. You're smart. I don't need to walk you through it. But absolutely want to make sure that we are building this community in the way that it needs to, because I think we all have important thoughts and feelings about what's going on. But at the end of the day, nobody's really listening. So we need to build to a place where we have the platform that people are listening. And so you guys showing up, you guys donating to the show, you guys talking about the channel, you guys being engaged in the Discord conversations, all of that stuff really matters. So I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Big shout out to the sponsor of the stream, Indie Film, out sponsoring himself with the double fiber. Thank you so much, guys. I very much appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so very much for being here. I hope to see you in the after party. But either way, I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.